calling the Budget Committee work session of December 1st back to order. I'm going to do a roll call just to make sure we're on record. We got everybody here again.
Betsy Colburn.
Brian Winslow.
Tom Chase.
Dan McNally.
Grace Mattern.
Betty Smith.
Joseph McCaffrey.
Hal Kreider.
Mike Moore.
Wilkinson. Eric Buckland. Brett Hall. Mike Kelvin.
Susan Austin.
Bob Young.
Scott Bryant.
And Ginger Dole. Okay, so to start off with, we'll finish off budget administration. We have a motion and a second on the floor, so I want to finish off that section. And then we're going to do the 3 village districts so that we're sure we get those done today, and then we'll go back to the operating budget again. So the motion that we have currently is to raise the line for the training budget from 360 to 450, and then there was, I'm sorry?
460.
460, sorry.
100 even, yeah.
And then there was just as part of the discussion, instead of 460, even it off at 500. What's your thoughts?
I say we vote on it at the 100 and see if everybody agrees.
Okay.
So I
Any
call
other
the nu-
discussion
call-
about
call.
that line? So that's going to bring us to 1,011 for a total for that.
It's easier to add.
It is.
Yes.
It is that. Okay, any further discussion? No, I thought we kept it.
You rescinded the
Here
amendment.
are 2 items ago.
You rescinded
I
the
believe just
amendment.
before lunch, I rescinded my second.
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay, who was the,
Well, if that was the case, I rescinded too then,
Joe
yes.
McCaffrey.
okay.
So I'll make another motion to do that.
And I'll second it again.
We good now, Linda?
Yes.
Okay. So seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of $1,011 for budget administration, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So now we'll pick up after we do the village districts with the trustee of trust funds. So let us start off with the water district.
You see the draft warrant. Basically, the concern would be Articles 2, 5, 6, and 7, as basically 1, 2, and 3 are housekeeping with no monies attached to them. So going to basically Article 4, which is the operating budget of $33,700. You will see that on the front page of the double. You'll notice that there's been some increases in a number of line items. Some of it is just to put additional funding in. We ended up going over budget this year. DRA blessed us, and we're okay with that. But we have found that the water district will have its system will be celebrating its 30th year birthday.
Wow. That long. Wow.
So as a result, there's a lot of maintenance issues and so forth that are beginning to present themselves. In addition to that, you're looking at the last couple of years, there was less of a proactive approach in terms of some of it. So we're beginning to look into a lot of that. So a number of these items are because of those changes. As you go down, you'll see that we did raise the executive to $1,400. We raised financial to $700 from $550. We raised the insurance slightly. Again, this is just because we have a bond issue and insurance to cover the pump house and so forth. On terms of water services, the bottom line, as you can see, is 18,450, but you can see how we broke that out in terms of the overall expenditures in particular line items. In terms of what has been expended, unfortunately, that was only for the first of the month, so there are 2 more months of expenditures that will be going into those line items. Capital Reserve Fund, in the past, that had, that is going to be the warrant article, so we won't address that right now. So, are there any questions regarding the actual general operating budget, which will turn out to be that 33,700?
33.
Michael?
Well, I don't actually see that number on the second page. There's a 63,700.
The 63, because I did not break that out. You're going to see that the system repairs is a capital outlay that's in there.
Okay, so that's an additional 30. So if you take the 30,000 off, that's the
That
33,700.
is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And what you're seeing is that the $1,000 is a separate warrant article, and so is 10. So all 3 of those items would be warrant articles.
So your actual operating budget is $33,700.
That is correct, as it states in the warrant.
Any other questions? Okay.
So moved.
This is Article 4, to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $33,700 for general district expenses.
Yes.
So Scott Bryant, so moved. Second.
And Scott, Dan did the second. So no further questions? Okay, roll call vote, it's a warrant article. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes?
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay. Moving on to the next Article 5.
I'll move Article 5.
Second.
Okay, that's to raise the $1,000. Yes, please, I'm tired of
To
it.
see if the district will raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 from water rents and to be added to the previously established Water District Expendable Trust for major repairs.
If you see, the district has 2 forms of revenue. One is water rents, in which this is what we charge customers for water, and in some cases, those that have curb stops and are not receiving water, there's a small fee to them. There is also a tower rent. We were fortunate enough to get a cell tower that we put at the pump house. And so revenues from that, in the past, had simply been used to go into a capital reserve fund. What we're attempting to do is to use some of that funding this year to defray expenses, and we're going to try to put, as you'll see in the next item, 10,000 from that into a expendable trust fund. But the $1,000 we thought we'd continue just to keep our warrants similar from year to year. So that is from water rents going into.
What is the rental yearly?
I'm sorry, what?
What is the rent amount?
The rent is depending upon most sources. In fact, we're the lowest in the state pretty much. If you are receiving water,
No, I'm sorry, on the tower.
On the tower?
Received from the tower, yeah.
I believe that's on the back page. You can see our expected tower rents. So probably, we're expecting and anticipating about 13,000 coming in the next year.
So you want to take about 10,000.
Yeah, but that's the next warrant article. This is the warrant article we're dealing now. We're taking out of water rents and putting it into our expendable trust fund.
Any other questions on Article 5?
Yeah.
So do you have major expenses coming up that you're anticipating, like a pump replacement?
I
or-
will talk about that in the last article. Yes, we are seeing some major expenses, and part of it is a condition on getting a grant. So we want to make sure that money can be expended without having to go to the district meeting next March, but we're not sure how much, so we're going to use the expendable trust fund to cover those.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. take a roll call. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so moving on to Article number 6.
I'll move Article 6 to see if the district will raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the Water District's expendable trust for major repairs previously established. The sum to come from unexpended telecommunications tower space rental payments of 2019.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, or does everyone understand the explanations Bob's given us?
I'm good.
Okay, seeing no further discussion. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes.
And I'll also move Article 7 to see if the district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $30,000 for the development and application of an asset management plan for the district's infrastructure. $20,000 is to come from an A&P grant from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services, and $10,000 to come from the district's expendable trust fund as needed to support the grant match and supplement funds used for the operating budget and in-kind matches expended for asset management plan development.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion or questions other than what Bob's already provided
All right,
us?
this was a grant that we just completed with the aid of Ares Engineering, which is a hydrogeology firm in Concord, and Underwood Engineers out of Portsmouth and Concord that were construction managers. One of the things we're looking at is improving certainly our control of the system, upgrading from the early 30-year-old technology to a newer technology. But before we do anything, we need to have what the state refers to as an asset management plan. And so they're awarding grants as a matching grant. We've completed, it's a 9-page document I have here if you want to see it. And we just are looking for a way. Now, I'll also comment that DRA may change how this is worded, because we already have the ability in Article 2 to accept that money if it comes in. So I'm saying let's go as is, but when we come back in January, I'll let you know whether
Okay.
that has been changed by the Revenue Administration.
Question.
Yes.
The asset management plan, does that have to be totally expended as asset management planning, or can that also, let's say you don't, let's say it takes 25 or 20,000, so can the balance be used towards what that plan might
Right
call for?
now, the way the grant is written is that it's looking at, first of all, taking all of these old documents that, interesting enough, 30 years ago, they were done by putting a photograph of an aerial photograph and then putting CAD drawings over the top of that. We're hoping to get a lot of that into a GIS system with GPS markings of where all of our curb stops are. A good example is there is a curb stop that, and more than a curb stop, it's actually a shutoff valve for all of Bow Street that we don't know where it is because DOT and town of Northwood have gone over roads and changed the sides of roads. So yes, there'll be that, plus there is going to be looking at the infrastructure, and if things that show up on this need to be replaced, that money or matching fund monies could be used to account for that. In other words, we're looking at spending about $40,000 on this project, as a whole.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Not a question,
Yes.
just
Yes.
a quick comment. I think it was a typo in your third line. Should just say and instead of and.
Yes, we have that crossed out right here now.
All right, great.
It's amazing how many times you can read something without
I know,
seeing it.
yeah. I have been
Exactly.
there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments?
Where was that typo that I missed?
Article
Third
7.
line, Article 7,
Just before
AM
the A.
instead of AN.
Okay, thanks. Oh, yes.
I have a question. As the asset management plan, are assets things like where the curb cutoffs are?
Assets is everything that you physically own, including the land itself.
Okay,
So in other words, we just recently purchased a parcel of land out behind, I guess it would be Big Acorn Pond. And so now there is a contiguous area that goes across the northern part of the Stratford border, including town lands, that is protected area. And one of the things we need to start talking to the rest of the town about is setting aside parts for future water use, because water is going to be a problem in the next decade or so.
Yep.
And we need to start planning for it. So the district has done that and has set aside lands. So that will need to be looked at. What is under that ground in terms of future water is also an asset management, which needs
Okay.
to be looked at. The pump house, all of the pumps, all of the tanks that are there, what's the lifespan of those? Should we be thinking about replacing them? And we have about 100 and some odd thousand in our capital reserve fund, but one of those tanks or one of those pumps could wipe that out. So we need to start doing some long-term planning.
thank you.
And we're in the process of making the rents, water rents, more in line with what the expenses are for running the district, which is right now all volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so we are done with the water district. Let's move on to Northwood Cove. And you be on, Ted. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike, I get so confused. I got too many new people, and you're all down there, see? So, okay.
So you all have handouts for our 2019 proposed budget. $12,950. A couple notes on the spreadsheet is we did have an increase for some road maintenance, and we had a decrease in the electronic fund transfer to offset that.
Ah,
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay.
okay, so we are looking at Article
Move
number
Article
2, please.
Article 2, to see if the Northwood Cove Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the Northwood Budget Committee's recommended budget amount of $8,750 for the general operations. This article does not include special or individual articles addressed. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion? Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes.
I'll also like to move Article 3 to add funds to the Road Maintenance Expendable Trust. See if the Northwood Cove Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,200 to be added to the Road Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund previously established. I'll move that.
Second.
We'll go with Brad. Next time. Okay, do we have any questions on Article 3? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so we are all set with Northwood Cove District.
May I just ask a point of information?
Yes.
For the Cove District, how many current members do you have?
How many current members?
Yeah, well,
Can I defer to Brad?
Oh,
the other guy's
It's actually 44 properties, probably 40 residents. There's some people own 2 pieces of property.
so it's the residents that are the paying members, so to speak?
40 is a pretty good number.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we now have a new village district.
I don't have that one.
Oh, your arms are longer than mine.
All right, here, take mine.
Thank you. That's a gentleman.
Does anyone else need a golf village district?
Everybody has one? I think we're good. So this is a new village district. And Eric is our representative. Let's go easy on him. It's his first day.
So the Gulf Village District was just started not too long ago. This is our first meeting. It was implemented for road maintenance and snow removal. Right now there is 2 homeowners associations. I am part of the smaller one, which is about 10 houses, and then the other one has about 50 houses, I believe. And right now it's knock on doors to get funds for the plowing and the road maintenance, which I'm under the impression hasn't always worked well. I've only been there since January, and this was implemented so that we could have that help with the town so that we could get adequate maintenance and plowing and snow removal of all that. And for anyone that's been there recently, I'm under the impression this is one of the hardest years it's had, and the roads are fairly in need of some help. So this will be to help proactively maintain that, and then as it grows to help with that.
Can you excuse me?
Tom,
Thanks.
anytime.
Can you tell me what roads would be included in this? So if we went to Google Maps and Googled,
Absolutely. So Lynn Grove is off of Gulf Road. Lynn Grove is the dirt private road. Everyone that has access via Lynn Grove and down on the map, just Lynn Grove and down, not down Gulf, but just the Lynn Road. Fiore is one. I think there's an Old Lynn. Those roads are the ones that are part of the district and would be part of it on the race.
Okay. So,
and then and the same question with the water district about how many, or the number of residences and members affected?
I believe it's 60-ish residents, 60-ish homes, but not all are residents. I think about 2/3 of that are voting residents, but I don't have all the specifics on that data.
I went to their, they had their meeting before a selectmen's meeting, and I believe like you said, about 1/3 of them are, have cottages there for like seasonal.
so Scott, you have done such a good job on these others. Do you
Oh,
want to make
I
a
don't
motion?
mind, not at all.
Take it away, Scott.
Well, I have one more question, just real quick if I may.
Well, can we do a motion real quick so we can be
sure.
legal with our questions?
I'd like to move, if okay, I'd like to move Article 2, Village District Operating Budget, to see if the Gulf Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the Northwood Budget Committee's recommended budget amount of $16,000 for general operation. This article does not include special or individual articles addressed.
Okay. Hal, second?
Second.
Dan's second. Your question?
Yeah, I'm curious about the basis for the plowing and sanding number. How many miles, or how'd you get that number?
So even though the district is new, the homeowners associations have been doing it for a while, and with those numbers, I forget the exact specifics of what they're paying out right now. It's the other homeowners association than mine that kind of handles it, and then my smaller one gives the money over and collaborated. It was the 16,000 was on the estimated home value, And when we were talking in the meetings that the plowing and sanding was less than that from history that they've had before, and then the extra would go into maintaining the roads and putting that crown back and culverts and stuff.
Okay, so you have a history, is what you're saying?
Yes, it's just not not on the district, the village side, just the homeowner side.
Yeah.
Follow up?
Just that previous number, you said, I think 20 and 40 of the estimated residents or homes. I don't know which it was, but
So the 16,000 was estimated 1% of the home value of everyone in the district.
okay. No, what I was getting at was that you mentioned 20 and 40 residents on two different configurations. I think it was the association's membership. You said you were the smaller.
Yep.
So are those all, they all become part of this assessment, and of course, they're all part of the benefit of whatever follows, but they're all part of that assessment.
Yes.
And
Yep.
did they, was there, to create this, was there a general meeting where a majority at least of the?
Yes, right here in this room.
They had it right before a selectmen's meeting, you identified by the properties.
Okay.
That are part of the
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I believe in that meeting it had every deed and property that was part of it listed in there as well.
They were voted, did they attend, by the way, or did they absentee ballot kind of thing?
There was a lot of people there.
It was filled,
Yeah.
jam-packed.
Thanks.
Any other questions on Article number 2?
I have a question, it doesn't really matter because I don't live down there.
Then why are you asking?
I don't know, I won't ask.
No, go ahead and ask. You should ask.
So you had said that the road's a little rough there? So
More
the
than a
question
little.
is, on the road maintenance, you only got $3,000. Again, I don't live there, I don't. Do you think you guys budgeted enough to fix up the roads to a standard that's acceptable?
I believe we did. The other two commissioners are Shane Wells and Matt Moore. They have the history of the Lynn Grove Homeowners Association, and I believe everything was in line with what they had planned. And then there was a company that was going to be helping with that as well, because I believe it's going to be. We're still in this year, so we won't get this money for a while. So the homeowners associations are still working through this year, and I believe the numbers we have this year reflect this as well, and it was all encompassing, if that makes sense.
It's a transition year because the district won't see money until December
No,
next year.
Right.
And again, I don't live down there, so I don't.
Like I said, so why are you asking? Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes?
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. All right, so we are done with our 3 districts. Thank you, gentlemen, for your assistance. Okay, so let us go back to our operating budget. Page 6 of 25, folks, so see what we can get done here.
So I'd like to move the bottom line of the trustees of trust funds. That is 41510. And so I move $3,426.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Betsy?
I'd like to just see the minutes reflect that the laptop was already purchased, so that $800 is not added into that figure that's sitting on that line.
Ah, good point.
Oh, so we can
So
take that
So
out.
that note can come
The
out.
note can come out, the money is correct.
You still need the money,
The
though.
dollars.
Well, yeah, there's,
There's
You
only
bought the,
$200
that's right,
in
because
that
we
line.
approved.
because that's for supplies, so it's,
Yeah.
the file cabinet is doing
The
it, but the
explanation
laptop
note
is
is-
gone. Okay. Any other questions regarding trustee of trust funds?
So where does that 800 come out, though?
No, it's already out. I think it's already out. They just, that note should come out. I think that's what they're saying.
I see.
Because they purchased the computer this year.
Okay.
Okay, seeing no other questions? All those in favor of $3,426 for trustee of trust fund, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I have to abstain.
Okay, so 15, that's right, you do. Okay, 1501.
I'd like to move 41531 legal operation services in the amount of $22,000.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know the basis for the number.
Well, if you look at the notes, right under legal operation services, the 15,000 is for the legal services townwide, which is something that they've always had, and the additional 7,000 for the bond costs for the
Safety
safety
complex.
complex.
If the bond
So,
passes.
If the
I'm
bond
referring
Right.
back to my earlier question.
I'm
The
sorry.
ACLU has a lawsuit. Where does that money to defend that come out of?
Okay, so, correct me if I'm wrong, well, we have claims and judgments that are coming up.
Oh, that's where it comes up, that's
Well,
fine.
so right now, we have, I'm gonna turn around. Does Primex help us out a little bit with this, or? Thank you. Could you add to that a little bit? We have insurance.
Well, if that's where it's from and...
No, there's a
I mean, I just-
deductible though.
Okay,
I forgot what the exact deductible amount
I'll
is.
just keep asking the question until we come up to the right line. It doesn't matter which way we do
Oh, I
it.
thought you were going to say the right answer. Okay.
But, okay, so as
So
far
if
as
it's not
going
on
back
this
to
line,
this is,
if it's not on this line, then let's move on.
well, I'll just say that this is our estimated cost, and as historically, we've put everybody's legal line in there.
So that includes, like, if we have questions about this suit, that comes out of here? If we,
I'll defer to backup, but we did put a little extra money in claims and judgments, which is coming up next.
okay.
The 7,000 for the contingent on the complex warrants or proposal passing, is that a cost of bond? Is that a first year's
That's
estimated?
for, no.
Or what?
What that is we have to hire a bond when you go out for a bond, you have to hire a bond counsel. It's not our normal, we use the Mitchell Group for legal services, but when we're going out for a bond, we're gonna it's at Divine Millimet, which is, I believe, in Manchester. We're going out to them to hire for the bond counsel, and the estimate for that was approximately $7,000.
So they negotiate for a bond for the town based on...
I wouldn't say they negotiate, because all we're gonna do is go to the municipal bond bank. It's the legal cost for getting the bond. There's a cost of legal for getting the bond.
Well, is there a one source for this bond where you would go, where, any municipality would go?
Well, we
and
go,
then-
all right, the bond, when we go for the bond, it would be through the municipal bond bank, which is like a pool of money that's kind
Okay.
of, my words, not this,
Okay.
but like kind of up in Concord, they have a municipal bond bank that's like a pool of, not a pool of money, but all the bonds for municipalities, so that a municipality wouldn't have to go out by themselves to get a bond. It's like a municipal bond bank. And this.
So these are different bond providers that are all aggregated in one
providers.
point?
There's
No?
one municipal bond thing that most of the we could go out individually, it'd probably cost us more money. It makes more sense for us to go to the one that all the municipalities go to, because they kind of pool everybody's bonds together when they.
Kind of like going to a general insurance broker for a different
No, all
insurance?
this is the attorney, the legal
The
fees
attorney.
associated with issuing a bond.
And that's an upfront one-time cost if it occurs?
If it occurs.
If it occurs.
I'd like to say when it occurs, but it's a one-time.
So,
Hal?
that was actually part of my question on that one. Can we not put that $7,000 as part of the facility instead?
Theoretically budgeted here, I suppose you could roll it in. I would recommend to the committee we kind of leave this alone right now. But I'm answering truthfully here. You could probably roll that into the whole bond issuance, but we decided to budget it here.
Okay.
Transparency is always a good thing.
Is there any way to reflect that it's contingent?
Well, what'll happen is if the bond doesn't pass,
Well, I understand what the
we won't
thing,
spend the $7,000.
yeah, but the 7,000 will be there.
Well, hypothetically,
Every line in this budget
Is
it's
that,
an estimate.
is that.
It's an estimate, and I'm telling you where the estimate came from. We're estimating 7,000, we need $7,000 of the bond to, in order to pay for legal for the bond.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of $22,000 for legal operation services, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed, no.
Okay.
And, Hal, we had, all right, I'll make the motion, and we can ask questions. So, claims, judgments, and settlements, 41533. Historically, we've only been budgeting $1. We had budgeted $2,500 here because we know there's a potential claim. With that being said, I believe the $2,500 is our deductible. An estimate of what we think the deductible may be. Oh, sorry. So moved.
Not yet.
And that's the answer to your question that I jumped ahead.
Okay, so a claim like that, we have to pay the deductible, but everything else is covered by insurance.
I'm not a total expert on this, but I believe we have insurance, liability insurance for lawsuits like this. And Sandy, how'd you come up with $2,500?
Because we talked about it actually in the meeting.
Yeah, but the Primex
No, Primex didn't say that because they don't know what the claim is going to be, and neither do
we
we.
don't know what the claim is.
So we have to have something in the line in case we have to pay a portion of that settlement out. The deductible would come out of the insurance deductible lines. This is actually in case there's a judgment against the town, and we have to pay a portion of it, and the insurance pay the other portion. At least there's something in the line.
So the insurance lawyers would actually handle the suit itself.
Yes, but we have no idea what that number
Yeah,
is.
so we
There's
threw that
no way
in
of
there
knowing.
just as,
It's okay. So we have something in there, who knows?
yeah.
Got it.
What is the basis of this ACO?
We're just dealing with the fines.
We got sued by
Since we've been-
ACLU based on, I mean, and sometimes, I'm not gonna say whether the lawsuit was this or that.
No, I'm not asking for,
But I have no idea until it goes to court.
but what was the subject? Let me put it that way.
Oh, you don't know? Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Channel, okay.
Excuse me?
yes. What? He asked me a question.
We had,
Answer.
basically in a nutshell, there were some individuals that identities were questioned that might not be U.S. citizens that happened to be in Northwood. And
Okay.
they were, let's just, I'm
Yeah,
just
they
gonna
were-
leave
they
it.
were-
We can't go into
I would
this.
suggest you don't discuss it whatsoever.
And
We
which
can
is,
Google it.
Pending litigation.
Google Channel 9.
Specifics cannot be discussed.
which is why I didn't want to get into it. It's legal
I'm not trying to
and
discuss the specifics, but we're talking about money being allocated. And I
And
think
just to-
any citizens maybe who don't know, I guess I actually did hear a little about it now that I'm being reminded, but
Okay.
might be refreshed or worth knowing what's going on. Why they put money aside.
right. Let's move on, folks.
So we just provided them, they can go to Google or look it up and so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor for $2,500 for claims, judgments, and settlements. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Personnel Administration. We have an amount of $55,142. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, not seeing any questions. All those in favor of 55,142 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to move 41,911 Planning and Development in the amount of $41,012.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second for planning and development. Any questions or discussions?
Can we just go over how the purchases work again, and which, like, you share your computer, or how does that work again? Or do we buy it outright for the planning board?
We have our own laptops.
Okay.
And I think it's just the laptops that's included.
We have 2 laptops and we have two regular
Desktops.
PCs and 2 laptops in the land use department.
And you buy them outright for the planning, or do you share them with?
We don't share, well,
We don't share them.
temporarily,
We don't share them.
we're sharing
Okay.
one with selectmen.
Normally you wouldn't, okay.
I think that's a temporary
That was like
situation.
a
Got it.
one-time thing.
Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of $41,012 for planning and development, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to move the zoning board of adjustment, which is 4193, I'm sorry, 41913, in the amount of $2,001. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'd like to move 41940 Community Hall in the amount of $5,306. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to move line 41941 Town Parade Buildings in the amount of $55,215. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions?
Just a real quick question. Some of
Yes,
these
Hal.
are, oh, sorry. Some of these under heat are actually propane, I guess? Is that correct?
Sandy, can you answer that?
Are some of these
some of the
actually propane
propane-
instead of oil? Just for clarity.
Not up here at the town parade.
There's a couple at 270.
Well, the generator, you have the 150 gallons for the generator, that's propane, for the town hall
Okay, that
generator.
is- Okay.
And then the building and the center school is propane, that's why there's different prices. And the 1150 gallons for this building here, see the price is 2.714?
Yeah,
That's
the
number 2 oil.
Any other questions on parade buildings? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of $55,215, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'd like to move cemeteries, that's line 41951, the bottom line, $3,100.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, I'd like to move insurance, which is 41961, in the amount of $42,923. Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Grace?
Is there a reason the insurance went down by $13,000?
I'd have to defer to finance.
It just
Woohoo.
did.
They like us.
Is what we were invoicing.
Okay.
Now, does that include the
Nice.
workers' comp? No.
No, that's
That's
a
a separate
separate.
line, right?
This
Workers'
is,
comp?
this is
This is
comp
just
separate.
this is
This is
just
general liability.
Okay, thank you. This one, yeah. Any other questions on insurance?
I would, oh, sorry. You're
Go
gonna
ahead.
vote. No, I'm done. You're gonna call for a vote, right?
I am.
Oh, you shut up.
All those in
You said
favor of $42,923 for insurance, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now you can go.
I know, I'd like to move to Facilities Highway Committee, and that's line, the total for line 41974, in the amount of $2,000 $253.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Did we vote on the police commission?
We didn't vote on anything, we just reviewed.
Okay. I'd like to move the police commission, 42111, in the amount of $6,130.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I would like to motion that we accept the police department budget of $930,535.
Okay, we have a motion and second on police department. Are there any questions? Discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, I'm assuming, based on this morning, we're going to skip over the fire department.
We are going to skip over the fire department.
So then I'm going to move over to
Page 13.
medical services. So I'm going to move, it's $1. So I'll move 42,217, $1.
Second.
We have a motion and second. I'm presuming we have no discussion or question.
Over $1?
You never know.
Why aren't we spending 99 cents?
I can kick them here. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
I'd like to move the building and code enforcement, 42,401, in the amount of $40,437.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I would like to move line 42901, emergency management, in the amount of $3,552.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Do we have any discussion or questions? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to, highway administration, 43111, I'd like to move $230,797.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
Which one are we taking? You have 2 seconds.
I don't know. Who are you using for a second?
Pardon?
Who was it?
Who seconded
Who
it?
seconded
I
it?
got Michael Moore.
Okay, thank you.
Let me have one once in a while.
That's right. You gotta jump in there quick. You know. We're gonna put Dan on hold for a little bit.
He's so good at
Are there any questions or discussion about highway administration? Hal?
So, go over what the increase in the health is. Is that the same thing? We readjusted based on family plan?
Yes. The flame plan.
I have one other if you don't mind. So, the repairs on the truck, we've actually spent quite a bit on 2018.
We actually, we're actually going forward with a recommendation to purchase a new truck, warrant article.
Okay.
We realized that the repairs are getting quite significant. And,
Well, that was part of what I was asking you. Are you going to
but
spend more?
anyways, there is a warrant article to
Okay.
purchase a new highway vehicle.
Okay.
We're
That's
well
it.
aware of the maintenance costs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just getting
I thought you were just replacing it one part at a time.
I
By
kept
now,
doing
we
that,
probably
and they said no.
have.
It must be an expensive part. Okay.
Any other questions or discussions on highway administration?
No.
Joe?
The the road agent, is that, the salary for the road agent, is that coming out of the first line there, salary
The
road?
salary from the
road
road,
labor?
okay, salary from the road agent is elected official, it's a set amount. I'll give you a little background on that. the road agent retired, who was also the highway laborer, that's why we have the vacancy. Right now, the selectmen voted to appoint John Boudreau as acting road agent until the election.
Okay.
And
All right,
I'm
so,
sorry.
so
Go ahead.
well, that explains part of what I was
There's
wondering.
always been a separate dollar amount for the agent
Yeah.
versus the workers. It just got confusing when the agent was the worker.
Yeah, but the road agent, right, was, and so that position was that first position, salary road laborer general. Is that right, or was it the
No,
second?
that's the laborer. You
That's the
go
laborer.
down,
If you go a little further down, there should be a line for the road agent.
6,000
there is,
something.
it's the 130 line.
Oh, 130? Okay,
Yeah.
yes, salary road agent, but as you said, he was acting, he also
That's
had the
just the-
position of a laborer.
But that's not always the case.
No,
It's just
okay,
been that
I
way.
understand, but he had recently.
So, Joe, just, okay, historically, the person that ran for road agent happened to be a highway laborer also.
Yep.
So he would get the $6,000 stipend, and then he'd work also and get the laborer position.
Okay.
But they're two separate, even though the same person, they're two separate lines.
No, I follow that. So salary, so the first line was the position that road agent was holding, which in this case is being called laborer general, as opposed to laborer number 2. Is that correct? It's just
Yeah, no.
minor clarification, but I just wanted to know what he was holding, and now we have nobody in that position for the moment, except we do have a road agent.
We have a road agent,
But we don't have a
we have-
laborer.
We do have a vacancy right now in on the
Okay,
highway.
and how long is
Laborer
that?
too, right?
and
Well,
how-
the former road agent retired approximately, I want to say sometime in October, it was October. So that position's been vacant since, do
About a
you have
month.
the exact date?
October 5th, when I started here, they were having
A month and a half. Okay. So the salary that would have been paid him has not been paid. That's terminated.
Well, his salary was paid out, for when he retired, some of it was paid out, but while that position's vacant, that money is not being expended. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that's not reflected right now, is it? In the actual for 2018? I mean, I'm just wondering there's going to be about 2 months of no salary, two and a half
No,
months?
no. We've had two,
It's been paid out, if you look at, 5,000, well, I have, $5,222.75 has been paid out.
Where does that number come from?
Under the 2018 actual.
Yes, yes. So
for the road,
the,
that's the road agent's stipend, if you will. But we've also had other
okay, but the
laborers
laborer
at-
hasn't been there either.
For the highway department.
So there's
correct?
a road agent not working partly,
That's what the
and then there's a laborer for, looks like it's going to be about 2.5 months not working, non-existent, let's put it that way, he's not there. So
The laborer 2 position is the one that's vacant.
that's the one that's
The
vacant.
first line that you're talking about has been filled.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, because the person that, I get it now. The highway laborer 2 applied for the
General.
the general.
Okay.
All right, we.
Was that
agreed
Peter, just to make it clear?
Peter was promoted.
Okay,
Peter interviewed and we thought he was the best candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So your vacant position now is the highway laborer 2.
okay. So there's some missing money, or money that will not have
Not
been
missing-
paid.
missing
Not
money is a bad
not
word.
missing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
don't like
Yes,
that word.
it is, I can see that. So that's reflected by the roughly $4,000? That
Oh.
money that will not have been paid, is that still built into that, or has that already been reflected in that number?
Well, no. The number you're looking at, are you looking at 2017 actual?
20, well, I'm
sorry.
looking at 2018.
What he should be looking at.
All right,
2018, right?
2018. All right, the actual figures are the ones that actually got paid out. All right,
To date, yeah.
today. Now, what we're asking for is what we anticipate will cost when we're assuming we're going to fill that position.
I'm good with the future. I'm just trying to, just
Sorry.
currently,
Yeah.
somebody dropped out for about 2.5 months. I'm just approximating, the beginning of October, till the end of the year, that's 2 months.
Yeah.
Am I right? 2 months, 3 months? 2.5
Oh,
months.
no, wait,
Let's
it
do
was
what
October, we're in, we started December, so it's not really 2 months, it's December
Okay.
1st.
Okay,
But the position was filled with a promotion from within the department within a 2 or 3 week period.
okay, but I understand. So the one individual moves into the other portion, but there's still somebody not there
There's
whose
gonna be a
money
little
has
money,
been
yes, Joe,
allocated
there's
for.
gonna be a little money left over this year because there's a vacancy, yes.
Okay,
Labor too.
and my estimation here is it isn't reflected right now in that number, that there's some money that was allocated.
Well,
not-
no, the money, just, okay, what's the date of this report?
11/21.
So, this report was run on 11/21, so those if you're looking at the 2018 actual numbers, that's the amount of money was expended up to that date.
Okay.
And there are still payroll vendor runs that have to come out.
So what you'll
So
see
let me
is,
see if I have this right, maybe
Okay.
just in my own. If 38,000 was the projected target
I
for
know.
the year roughly,
Yes.
is based on last year's coming out, and so,
Yes.
and we're into this year, and it stopped at 34, that means about 4,000.
technically, if we don't fill that position, then money won't get spent,
So about 4,000 not going to be paid, it won't get up to the
unless we
38
hire somebody tomorrow.
in the meantime, that's great.
Yeah, okay.
Good. All right.
Okay? Other questions in Highway Administration? Tom?
Ginger, Scott, the health, dental, highway laborer line, is that multiple people or is that a single person?
112?
210.
210.
210.
So that's 2 people.
It is.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding the, where are we on? Highway Administration. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of $230,797 for Highway Administration, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Paving and construction, there we are requesting.
Just give me a second, my page has got messed up here.
How'd you do that?
I don't know.
That's the way they're stapled.
I like the concrete. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to take the staple out of the staple.
We're looking at page 15.
Oh, thank you.
Will that help you?
Yeah, a lot.
See, we can have fun now. That helps.
Yeah, it probably will.
Man, oh man.
All
You
right.
gotta staple the other corner, this is what's causing.
Yeah, this is the problem. Who stapled them down here?
Yeah, but the
Copy
machine.
machine stapled it. It made its own decision, and I just went with it.
Staple removals.
All right, I'd like to move 43,121, the total for paving and reconstruction of $220,314.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion?
I'd like to just present some things.
Please do.
So if you look at your notes, what we're planning to do next year is Tasker Hill Road, and the estimate, now keep in mind, there's a highway plan that's, that was done several years ago. So we used the highway plan, and although we haven't exactly been following the highway plan because of some of the budgetary things, and we bumped this up or bumped this back, but for the upcoming year, we're planning on doing Tasker Hill Road, which is estimated to be $23,000, Ridge Road, $60,000, and Sherburne Hill Road, the estimate is $90,000, and Allen Farm Road, just work in crack sealing. So we got 220 here, and Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but we also have a warrant article for 100,000 that's to supplement working on these same roads, right? So, yeah, warrant article 18. So there's 230 here, and if the town so is inclined to support spending an additional 100,000, we should be able to accomplish most of these roads this year. Sometimes, because the highway plan is several years old, and due to cost escalation with inflation and so forth, these numbers have changed a little bit. But if we get this 220 here and the warrant article also passes, we feel that we can accomplish these roads next year.
Were these off the old projections, or these are more recent estimates? Those numbers that you have in the notes?
Sandy, when we pulled the, numbers, were those off the highway plan, or did we factor in? I'm trying to remember. I don't.
You pull them off the CIP and then you add a little bit to them for the inflation cost. There's two of those roads which we done either last year or the year before.
But if you just, I'm not saying, the 220 is not going to cover all those roads. It's kind of contingent that the other warrant article passed still. In order to, but,
Okay,
but that is our, if this, if the budget passes and the warrant article passes, what I'm trying to tell you, these are the roads we're going to do next year.
I got you, but just to clarify, that was the point I was trying to understand. Because you referred to the old road plan, which is, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, Bob Stovall did it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if that was, there were numbers generated back then, and
They were not-
but you're using, I heard inflation taken into account, you said, and so that's, you updated that?
We added a little bit extra to the budget because of that on each road, figuring, okay, if this is 7% over 5 years or 3%, because we don't know what the number is here.
Okay.
So the board has to do.
So this is an approximation, a good estimation, those numbers, they're not, somebody gave you a bid. Okay,
Well, they haven't given us the decimal
Right.
point, we don't know.
good. I got another question, but I gotta stop for a minute.
Sandy, do you know how many miles of Sherburne Hill will be covered? That all the way to the border, or is it?
I do not, that is a good Scott Breyer question.
Can I just say, I know they've come right up to Range Road from
Yeah.
Ridge Road, and
Correct.
I mean, I can't say if they're gonna, but last year, he said they intend to do half of that this year and half this upcoming
Right.
year.
I believe this is for the part that has not been done yet.
Would
It's
be
very
my-
nice, the part that has been done
So from Bow Lake Road,
to Range Road is the section that has not been done.
drive it today, it just was.
Drive it every day.
Madam Chair, over that way?
Michael, we'll do you first.
Well, my question is, I brought it up when we were doing, is this where the library repaving? is?
No.
It's not where,
No, that was under the Facilities Committee's line, was my understanding.
it's under a warrant article, isn't it?
No. Yes, it's, whoa, I'm losing my head. Yes, it's part of the, thank you, it's part of
It's part of
the
the warrant.
Facilities warrant article, right.
So I'm not sure whether Sandy or whether wait for Scott, but what's happening with the bridge repair? There is a.
Oh, there was discussion about that at the selectmen's meeting 2 meetings ago. The Bow Lake Bridge. Do you recall what the?
He's coming around.
We'll put him on the spot.
What's the status of that at this point now, since we're just on highway?
Bow Lake Bridge repair.
Oh,
What's the status?
Sherburne Brook.
so
Yeah.
so we get bridge aid, and that covers about 80%. And we have enough money already to match for our 20% match.
Okay.
So we decided not to put that warrant article in.
So when would work, do you anticipate work would,
I know we hired an engineering company this year. They were talking about, now I'm going back to memory because we haven't met with them in a little bit of time, but they're trying to schedule it to be the least interruption during the summer and also for busing. So their actuality, if I recall, they were actually going to put it in, and hopefully the road was only going to be closed for like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
no, I thought they talked about the end of June ideally.
April was
Because-
thrown out at one point.
Yeah,
that would
but the
interrupt
problem with
school.
April is sometimes the water levels aren't all adjusted because of snow melt and so forth. So they would
It's
like
not
to,
frosties then.
they would like to do it. Wait. We have to wait till they lower the dams.
So it has to involve.
Yeah, is that, I'm trying to remember, is there something in there we had to wait till after they lowered the dams because the lower the water level or something?
I did not know that. I thought they were gonna try to do it between when the summer people come and school vacation, so that there's minimal traffic. So I don't know about the water levels. I was not part of that conversation, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything about water levels, just about the traffic
It was
issues.
more, I think the concern was more traffic issues, but I thought I recall something about.
So you're putting traffic down that other road? This work will need to be done on that to put
Well, if
traffic.
we close it down, oh, you mean that fire road?
Dennis Bridge Road.
Well, that's a little rough now, I don't know. if you've been
Very
down-
rough now.
Yeah. No, they'll have to go around Stratford. It's only for a couple weeks.
Other ways.
Okay, Joe?
The 80% money that's coming from the state, is that on schedule? And is that due, do you have an idea when it's due? Has it actually been,
They do.
there was an issue whether we're
Yeah,
going to
Joe,
approve
they
it
do,
finally?
they do like a construction percentage of completion, so they're not gonna give us the, as we complete the project, I believe, we put in like percentage of completion, and we periodically would be refunded that, but they're not gonna just give us the
The whole
80%. They're gonna do a little bit based on.
But they have committed to.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't be going forward with this if they haven't
Okay.
committed. No,
Thank you.
yes.
How about expenditure in the coming year for the other 20%?
Oh, we got that already. It's in the reserve.
fund. It's in our fund.
It's in the fund.
Okay.
Because each year we're putting away a big chunk, remember we were putting that big chunk of money away each year? Yeah.
I just want to make sure you haven't missed.
And actually, any money left over, we're gonna actually leave in there because there's another down by you, right?
Narrows, Narrows Brook. Yeah.
'Cause
Down on,
that's
Canterbury.
actually, that's actually red listed, so that fund is, we're gonna not end that fund, but we're gonna leave the money there because we know there's gonna be another bridge coming down the way.
Thank you.
It's my bridge.
Hal, did you have a question?
Yeah,
And
I
then
just want to
Betty.
get a general understanding on the overall funding. When that report initially came out, there was a lot of consternation that we were spending X dollars and we really should have been spending X plus, and I don't remember the exact numbers. And if we wouldn't, we would start, going down to the point where we're spending more on road maintenance because we're not repairing them fast enough, and then they deteriorate further and it's more expensive too. And at the time, I recollected that was like $300,000, which is 5 years ago. I think in those 5 years, we've made some improvements in terms of how we handle the projects and being careful about the road grading and stuff. So I understand maybe there's some savings, but what's your understanding that if we pass this, which is 230 or 220 plus the 100 for the warrant, are we maintaining our roads at whatever level they're at? Are we going to continue to decline, or are we actually starting to catch up to where eventually we're holding our own and at the best place in terms of
I think
road
that,
maintenance?
I'm not,
Just based on your understanding.
I think we're just meeting base.
So
We're
this
not-
meets, we're not
exceeding meets. Our goal is to keep up.
okay.
If we fund this, for example,
We
if we
won't be
just had the
losing-
220 and the warrant article didn't pass, we'd start getting behind. Okay? And I'll be I always say this, I shouldn't say this, just wait. We put the 100 in the warrant article because of SB2. We'll put those in warrant articles to give the voters the decision. Do you want to maintain, or do you want to, if you don't want to spend this, you don't have to, but we're going to get a little behind. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
Betty,
well,
no?
sorry.
Betty had a question.
The bridge work. We know that there's another bridge coming that's gonna need to be fixed. Is the money that's going to be left there, is that gonna be enough to fix that bridge? And are there other bridges that might, why let it go?
There's two red listed bridges. There's the one that we're going to work on, and there's, help me with was it Canterbury Road?
Narrows
It's
Brook.
Canterbury
Narrows
Road
Brook.
over Narrows Brook.
Okay, Narrows
Narrows
Brook.
Brook.
So there'll be, so when we get when we get reimbursed for the 80%, there's going to be a nice chunk of money left in that fund, but not enough to repair that bridge. And the bridge the state also has a schedule of when they can repair the bridges. So they actually allowed us to repair the Bow Lake Bridge, but the next one's not scheduled for quite some time. I'm trying to say. So we have the money, we're gonna have the money, and we're gonna be able to fix the Bow Lake Bridge, but we're still a couple of years away, because eventually, the state will pay 80% on all those bridges, but there's a schedule, you can't, and if we were to move up on the schedule, we can't just say, oh, we want to do it next year, because the state's saying, well, we'll have the money in this year, you know what I'm trying to say? And so we have money to do we don't have, after we fix Bow Lake, there's not gonna be enough money to fix the other bridge unless we put more money in there. But in my opinion, it makes more sense to let the state pay the 80% and wait a couple more years.
Joe?
This, in the notes there on this, there's the reference to the Allen Farm Road culvert work and crack sealing for the rest of the road, or just, is the crack sealing referring to just around the culvert? Is that?
Joe, I gotta apologize to you. I don't know specifically.
Okay.
I know.
No, that's all right. In either case, I'm just wondering, in light of what I referred to earlier in regard to the library parking lot, has there been an effort, because I know there hasn't, I live on a road where it hasn't been, I know a number of others in town, I'm sure others do, where crack sealing was done superficially and not substantially, not in the manner I referred to, which is in the state guidelines, that is, you cut the cracks and then you fill them, and there's a real good reason for that. So are we putting that into these bids where we're getting an adequate job rather than a superficial Band-Aid job on crack sealing?
I know a lot of I would say we're handling the crack sealing and the we're trying to seal the cracks, but we're not doing any more. I wouldn't call it, we're doing the least expensive version, which is probably, it's less expensive but won't last as long.
Right, and so it costs us more money in the long run, because that's really the way it works. So that's state guidelines that indicate.
Joe, I understand that, and what happens is, the town can ask for so much money, but if we keep in mind we're SB2, so if we ask for too much, we get kicked back to the default budget, and then I got no money to fix the roads. Well, I have money to fix, I don't mean it like that, but I don't have adequate funds to fix the roads.
We all have seen, and this is something we go around, yes, with people trying to spend less money. On the other hand, spending money poorly.
But you can't spend money that's not appropriated.
That's right. And so my suggestion would be not to go ahead with a project that is simply going to be appearances and not...
Well, it's not just appearances.
Well, the culvert wouldn't be necessarily, but certainly the crack sealing, I'm suggesting would. I happen to live on a road which money was wasted.
Time's up.
So I don't want to talk about my road.
Yep, time's up. Any other discussion, questions, or anything on the paving and reconstruction? Okay, not seeing any. All those in favor of $220,314, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I would like to move highway cleaning and maintenance, 43,122, in the amount of $71,000. Second.
We have a motion and second for cleaning and maintenance. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
All right, I would like to move snow and ice control, that is 43,125, in the amount of $167,000. Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Hal?
Just a quick question on the 2018 actual. It seems way low. Do we have all the bills in on that, Sandy?
Remember, this was cut on November 21st because you guys want it early. I've had 2 vendor runs since then. So anything that's been paid after the 21st is not reflected in this, and the last payroll of the month of November is not in here.
Not after November 21st.
The date that report was run.
I'm looking at the snow and ice contracted services. It's half of what we budgeted. Oh, actually, it's only 40% of what we budgeted. It's the
Which
first
line
one.
are you referring to?
390.
Page 15.
So keep in mind, this is what covered from January 1 up until summertime, basically.
Yeah.
Right, I understand, and that was one
And
of
then
the
whatever
worst.
we've had in the last
Yeah, that's what
month
I'm
or two,
asking.
which probably isn't reflected as being paid yet.
I'm asking because
Right.
that period that you talked about was one of the worst in the 10 years I've lived here. We had, on my road, I paid for more plows in that period, January through May, than I ever have. And so I'm wondering, given that I paid almost 50% more for plowing in that time period, why we're at 40%.
They gave us a deal?
Well, I'm just asking.
I don't know.
And I can't,
Well,
I don't have the answer to
Well,
that.
I guess that begs the question then, if we can do it for half the amount in 2018, why are we upping it? And maybe that's something we just have to defer, but
Well, look at, okay, 2017, we spent 126, almost 127,000.
No, he's looking at just the one line, Scott.
I'm just
I know, he's
the
looking
one-
at what we spent this year, right?
No, he's looking at just
It's a page back.
the
Look
back,
at 390.
page ahead.
Yeah, maybe I should have.
He's
been
just
clear.
looking at this line here.
I mean, maybe we changed our approach. I mean, I don't know. But
Sandy,
it-
correct me on the line, isn't that our plow line?
But, I mean, just so you understand.
No, I get what you're saying.
I always try to look and say, well, how much are we actually spending? And if we figured out some way to get it cheaper this year, well then heck, let's put that same thought into doing it cheaper next year.
Can I
But, yeah.
speak, please?
Please.
You have to remember, last year, and we're having this problem this year, we were down 3 trucks last year for plow guys, and that includes our contractors. We're also now, we're still down 3 trucks for plowing. So we're trying to do the roads with our own staff and what trucks we do have. If all the trucks we've actually contracted were on the road plowing, it wouldn't be that low. But we can't control the breakdowns of our contractors' trucks. So that's part of the reason the cost is lower. Now, I can tell you, I
We
have
do get a
paid-
lot of complaints about the roads. Though.
Yeah, I have paid a couple bills since this report was run, and I think I've paid another 5,000 out, and I know there's more coming for the next vendor run,
So you do get complaints, so that.
I mean, but if we have if our contractors are broken down,
Yeah.
we can't, if the trucks aren't running, how can we, you gotta plow that road. We're kind of stuck. And what we do is we make do with the town trucks, but if you go, I mean, even, I was looking at my street, there was only one, it was half plowed for like a day and a half, and then, I mean, you could get in and out of your driveway and get to and from work, but they had to come back and clean it up later once they had all the other roads opened up.
Yeah, but that would, okay.
Just, I'd like to, Ginger?
Yes.
I'd like to follow up on just what Al was
Briefly.
talking about. In terms of, okay, so 3 trucks down, whatever, for limited periods of time, I assume. There's a week or two, whatever, they got things repaired or back running, or did that stay that way for months? I mean, that's a substantial difference. And if we say, well, we got a fair amount of snow last spring, as I remember, and you're reflecting in your costs, so I don't know that we could do with less plow service, but maybe we consider, I don't know if these fellows would come up to speed, but whoever we're contracting, can we maybe consider others who maybe have more reliable equipment?
Well,
Or a backup, let's put it a different way, a backup.
Can I put this out there?
Yep.
Another thing is and it's not just us. A lot of municipalities are dealing with this right now. We get, and it's funny because a vendor complained to me the other day. We're paying, like, say we pay $100 for like a 6-wheel an hour. Well, they can go out and do driveways and parking lots and get like $140 an hour. And they'll say, I'm gonna go do that instead of work for the, you know what I'm trying to say?
Hard to find, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, we're sticking with kind of like, these are things, I can tell you this year, I'm really seeing it now. This town, overall, a lot of towns are dealing with this, where the economy's been really good and people are making more money. all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't need this municipal work because I can make money from people doing, so it's a constant balancing act of like, do we pay these vendors more, do we pay these contractors more money, or do we try to do more with our own services? So it's not, there's a lot of gray in there, because I can tell you right now, we're trying to get rates that we think the town can afford, and I'm getting vendors, I don't want to do that work anymore because you're not paying enough.
No, it's good that you're explaining this, I mean, really, Scott, because it's for people just to hear that this is a balancing game, as you put it, and that is true. But Hal's point that, you know, there's $40,000 here that somehow was maybe not saved because we wanted to save it and a lesser job was done, but...
And we still have November's bills probably to go through, and whatever we run into in December.
Yeah, I'm just working on
So
that.
it's an estimate, it's based on their
And I
best
can
guess.
say, in the time that I've been doing this for about 20 years, I would say this November is way above normal for snowfall.
Without a doubt.
So that covers this year. I'm gonna, if I could, make a motion to reduce that line by 10,000. Because we were at 83, we're at 44 now with 2 months to go, so let's say we spend another third more, we'd be up to 60. I mean, somebody would look at me funny to say, oh, well, we're going to double that to 110. I mean, I think the 110 is just a little bit more than what we should have in there.
My only concern is, this is snow and ice, and we have no control. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have a second. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Just because you wanted to hear what I was going to say.
Ginger,
Yeah.
continue.
Now, may I continue? I'm getting a raging headache right at the moment, guys, so please bear with me. In my mind, snow and ice it's covering something that we have absolutely no control over. There's no way of forecasting. If you cut it short and we have a super bad winter, which we have had in the past, where is the additional money going to come from? What other lines are not going to be utilized for what they were intended to do because you can't go over the bottom line? I understand where you're coming from. My feeling is 10,000 isn't going to make a bit of difference in the overall budget in reducing it. It certainly isn't going to have any kind of a tax impact, and my concern again is if we end up with a bad January through April, we have no way of knowing what the next 6 months is going to be like. I really am concerned about cutting that line. That's just my thoughts. Are there other comments or questions or what have you?
I think I'd sort of second what you're saying. In other words, it's a case of where if you're looking at this extended period of time because you now are short on contractors, and we have a very bad storm, then we may actually have to bring in additional contractors and now
Pay the higher rate.
Pay at a higher rate.
Ryan?
I was just going to say anything, obviously, just the obvious point, if it's not expended, it goes back to the tax base. So.
It does.
Not
Betty?
necessarily back to
Thank you, Joe.
General fund.
The way the weather's going now, it just keeps getting worse. I mean, last year was not as bad as this year has been. Next year looks like it's going to be more of the same. I mean, does anybody remember the town election in March?
Getting
That
some money back.
controversial election about do we hold it or don't we? Yes. Are there other questions or comments?
Well,
Michael?
even if we doubled what we have now, we'd be more in line with what we had in 2017, which is 83,000. I just don't, I'm having trouble seeing how you're going to get to 110.
Because each year is getting worse.
Well,
Next year, but not.
not from looking at this,
looking at 2
83,000
years.
in 2017, and would have to
You have some,
have a monumental December to get to 83,000 this year. So it's, I don't see where it's getting worse every year. It's well, you don't have 2016 or whatever, but at least with the data we have here.
Sandy might have some info for us.
Would the budget committee like me to get up and go pull a history on that account for the last 10 years? Nothing? Okay. Because it'll give you an idea where you're at.
Yeah, it's probably not
I
gonna.
haven't been there.
Not right now, but if you find
offering
yourself
some help.
twiddling your thumbs because you have nothing else to do, you could always bring it to us at a later point in time.
I
How's
just was
that?
offering some help. It might give you an
And we
idea where we
appreciate
would be
the
at.
offer.
Let me ask you one question, though. Have we ever spent $100,000 on snow plowing?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, that line has been level funded to that
Yeah, we've
110 for
we've
several years now.
overspent, we have overspent, not last year, but we have overspent in years past.
Okay.
Are there other questions or comments? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to reduce line 143, 125-390 to an even $100,000. Betsy?
No.
Brian?
No.
Tom?
No.
Dan?
No.
Grace?
No.
Betty?
No.
Joe?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Ted?
No.
Eric?
No.
Brad?
No.
Mike?
No.
Bob?
No.
Scott?
No.
And no. So it's 13 to 3. So we go back to the main motion, which was $167,000. Is there any further discussion on that section? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of 167,000, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
Well,
I'm
that's a
waiting.
nay.
I'm
No,
waiting.
that's a nay. Opposed, nay.
Well, she asked if I was,
Oh, I'm
she
kidding.
asked, and I said, yes, I am.
And I kind of figured that. So, just one, yeah, 15 to 1. Okay. Street lightning, it's lightning, street lighting.
I'm gonna let somebody else read, I'm getting tired.
It's a buck.
I'll move 43163 for $1.
Second.
Did I do it right?
You did.
Very good.
Whether it's $1 or $2 or 100 million, it still takes the same effort to read.
It does. That's why I gave it over to you for a while. Any discussion on the dollar?
Well, I'd like to talk about the act, no.
Do you think
Careful, I
$1,
can reach you.
he's ready to say, do you think $1 is gonna be enough?
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
I mean,
moving
is there a
on.
reason that we keep that open? We
Yeah,
think we're gonna have
because we-
street lights all of a sudden, or?
Just in case.
Yeah,
This- We just didn't turn them on.
Oh, there are street lights?
There's street lights, we just don't turn them on.
Makes sense, okay.
okay.
I'd like to move
Sanitation.
line 43211, sanitation, for $79,524.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have questions.
Grace?
I'm just clarifying what I think is going on. Cost of electricity is going up, just like the base cost. And because of the situation with recycling, that's what the change is in the paper. It's not like costing us money to get rid of paper rather than making money from
We're
paper?
not, the recycling right now is like really, there's no market for recycling.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So,
Next section.
that's in the next session.
Well, the
Well,
disposal.
but that's why I'm looking at these changes in here.
So what we're having
Yeah,
is,
okay.
so anyways, we still encourage recycling to keep people in the habit,
Yes,
but,
good.
which I've kind of questioned, but I go along with it. But in reality is it's all ending up in general
Yes,
landfill.
okay.
Yes.
But depending upon the political situation and new markets opening up, if we
Right.
continue to do it.
They're
you
already
never know.
trained.
Right, people
They're
are
already
accustomed to doing it, but
accustomed.
we will have a supply
Yep.
available to go at a moment's notice should that opportunity arise.
So I shouldn't say this, but just for a chuckle. So we go there, and I'm like, at home I go, why am I separating the plastic? It's going to go to the same place.
I've heard a lot of people
So
say
when I'm
that.
frustrated, I just kind of put everything together.
I'm gonna tell Gina.
doing the same thing, expecting
Are
a
there
different
other
result.
questions or comments on sanitation administration? Seeing none? All those in favor of $79,524, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to waste disposal.
I'd like to move 43243 for $111,100.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? My buddy Hal.
I know this is gonna seem opposite to what I said before, but now in this one, on 390.
You want to increase?
Yeah, because look at the numbers, 45,000, 73,000. We know tipping fees are going up. We know we're gonna have more material. Why is it back down to 60? And we're not even through the year yet. We're probably gonna have close to 90,000 at the end of this year. So how can we go down to 60?
What comprises tipping fees?
Well, it's going up relative to what was budgeted, but it's going down by 50% compared to what we're going to spend this year. And like you said, Scott, we're going to tip more stuff because we're not recycling the plastic. We're going to tip more stuff because we're not recycling maybe some of the other stuff.
Well, that remains the same.
The tipping fees, Joe, are the cost that we have to pay to have everything hauled out.
So anyway, this one seems to me like maybe we don't have enough money in there.
Other discussion or
We'll
comments?
save that from your other 10.
Well, I would,
That's part of where I was coming from.
I would
I'd like to
observe,
see this go up and the other one go down. Now, if you're gonna tell me, okay, it's a wash, that's fine, but
Oh, yeah, man. Sandy, does the, with that thing we made where they got rid of the truck and we had to hire somebody else, does that have any effect on this?
Well, it does.
That's why
Could
that's
you
on.
elaborate?
I can't, because I don't even know why we can't pay them.
I can ask it. My question would be, okay, we budgeted for this 2018 45, but we spent 73, so where does that money come from that's paid that? Is that,
Anywhere else in the
so just whatever?
Oh, if we okay, when we we can go to other, when we, just for discussion, we budget based on historical data. But what'll happen this year is that we'll spend more on one line than another. We're allowed to overspend the line as long as we don't overspend the total budget. So if there's a little extra on one line and a little less in one line, it kind of evens out as long as we don't spend the bottom line.
Joe?
if I'm understanding some comment that Sandy made there, maybe reflects this, but we've already spent more money to incorporate the tipping, increase in tipping activity. And so, and there was an extra expense, you seem to, involving a truck or something. I heard that reference, but it seems that we've reached the current extra expenditure. 60,000 seems to me, seems to take that into account from my brief observation of it. What was the truck expense, the extraordinary or the?
Our co-op thing kind of, there was about, how many towns were in the Lamprey co-op? Was it 15, 14?
Yeah, 14 or 15.
So that kind
For
of, there was a truck that all these town, the co-op shared a truck. The co-op as a unit, the group voted to sell the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, the co-op doesn't really exist anymore, does it? Well, it does, but we don't want that. So what happened is, so when we lost the truck, we had to go out and hire another truck, somebody to replace that service.
Do you know roughly what that money was, the difference?
I have to defer to Sandy.
The renowned East Coast Container. East Coast Container is now doing our pulling. For regular, they're doing the pulling for our regular household waste, and it's $250 every container they pull.
I'm just saying roughly, though, that change cost us, do you have an idea of that?
I don't, because when we were paying Lamprey, it was per ton. Now it's per container. So you're matching apples to oranges. And this is the first year that we've had to deal with both the lamprey and another contractor
Yeah.
pulling. So we're not gonna have real numbers, at least for a year, until we go through one full cycle of how we have to do this.
I'm just thinking if there was $15,000 roughly involved there, that would account for a difference, and 60,000 is covering what we're looking at in our increases, in expected increases.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I just noticing at the top line, demo furniture, you know, we spent 21,000 in 2017, but we're only at less than 7. For this
So
year,
far.
under 25, well, did we get a lot, did we get a lot of December furniture, or?
What if we do? What if we have 2 or 3 households?
I'm just saying,
that
maybe
come-
there's too much money there and not enough in
Well,
They can adjust that.
But it can offset.
offset.
Is that where you moved
you
it
know
from?
you know what happens sometimes, in reality, during Christmas time, a lot of people, we end up taking all the trash bins get overfilled, the regular tipping, and we end up dumping all that in with the furniture.
That's happening now.
Yeah, it's happening now. So it's kind of like, I know
Alright,
it's
so
not
then-
ideal, but you look at those 4 accounts and you kind of hope the bottom line covers everything.
So that's what you're really doing, is you're just,
So we're trying to budget, we're trying to give you numbers for like what we think each one will do, but in reality, those shift all the time depending on the volume of trash during like seasonal, summertime when the other seasonal people come up for the lakes and stuff. We're always overfilling the bins, and we have to use the other thing to get rid of the trash. We'll put it in with the furniture, or, you know. So reality is it's either buying, which would cost more, but buying more containers for those, you know. I kind of look at the whole. It's
So
not
look at the
perfect, but I
bottom.
kind of look at the bottom line for what I need to.
As opposed to the
And it's
individual.
each individual, and what we're trying to say, okay, we're going to put.
Yeah,
that
got it.
makes sense, yeah.
Are there other questions or comments regarding solid waste disposal? Okay, so we have a motion and second for $111,100. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, before we go to the next section, I have a proposition for your discussion. It's 2:45. We're not just over halfway through the operating budget. People are beginning to get a little antsy. Do we want to take a 10-minute break and stay until 4? Or do we want to push through
Stay till
for a little bit
3:50.
longer? I know that some have already spoken to me and indicated that they can't stay past 3 o'clock. We would still have a quorum. Keep in mind, what we don't get done today, we're coming back Monday night to do.
Monday?
Yeah,
And what we don't get done Monday, we'll be here Wednesday.
right.
Push forward and take a break if you need to.
And I haven't let you know, but I can stay till 3:30. Just, if that affects
So
quorum
let's-
numbers.
It won't affect quorum
Okay.
numbers. That's the one thing, in some respects, gives us a little bit more leeway, being as large a group as we are. One person is now like a half a person, almost. If you follow my train of thought. So what's the mood of the board, of the committee?
We already covered the library, and the rest of them look a little bit more straightforward than some of the others.
And we still have warrant articles to do.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah, we haven't done the warrant articles yet.
Let's keep going and see how far we get. If anybody needs a break, take it.
We have to.
No,
take a
we
vote
have to-
go past 3.
We have to, A, we have to take a vote to go past 3, and B, it's not appropriate to be trying to do business when we've got 3 or 4 or 5 people down getting coffee and muffins or taking a stretch, which I understand we could all use. We've been here for almost 2
I
hours.
want to
compromise, just push through to 3:30 and see what we can do. I will, for the record, I'm gonna get up and get something to eat.
Yeah, I've already
Donut
had,
or a muffin or something.
What if we break for 5
let's
minutes?
take 5. Okay, we are back in session.
It does have a shade.
Our next,
Did somebody leave without?
yeah, I already, let the record show that Michael had to leave. Michael Moore needed to leave at 3
May I be
o'clock.
excused?
No, you may not.
So,
There is no excuse for you, Scott. I love my buddy here. So easy to pick on. Okay, Health Department.
Wait a minute,
we have to vote to go past 3, you said.
Oh, yes, all right.
I'll make a motion that we go past 3.
to,
It has to state what?
4.
Before?
Hold it.
Till
3, I'll
8
go with.
o'clock.
Second. Go. Aye.
I am. When you have to go, then we'll make that.
Do we want to do 4?
We do 4.
I seconded you.
can we get done
All right,
with
so we have-
everything
I'm
in a
sorry?
Can we get done with everything in a half hour?
No,
No.
So
we
we're-
cannot.
Okay, so we would be coming back on Monday or
We're
Wednesday.
definitely coming
But
back
our
on
goal's
Monday no
not to
matter
come back
what.
on Wednesday.
Right, that's our goal. Is to, we still have warrant articles to
I thought we
do.
had to come back Wednesday to do the fire.
No, that's the next Wednesday.
That's a week from now. That's a
If
week
we have to
from
come
now.
back anyway,
So, okay, we have a motion and a second to continue until 4 o'clock. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All
Who was the second?
all those in agreement begrudgingly or otherwise, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
I am.
Okay,
Coming
we're
back
back until
anyway.
4.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to come back anyway, so.
All right, Health Department.
I'll move the Health Department number 44111 at $8,388.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the Health Department? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to,
15-0 now.
yep,
We lost one.
Animal Control.
I'll move animal control number 44141 for $14,356.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on Animal Control?
This is the one where the chief said we didn't have somebody full-time, right?
No.
He's out.
I can't get into it because of personnel issue, but we have somebody in animal control that's fine and can work regular hours though.
But we didn't, I mean, we only spent
There was a
4,000.
period of time
Yeah,
evidently when the person was not able to, but is now so.
got it.
Any further discussion or questions on Animal Control? Seeing none? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Community Support Agencies.
I'd like to move that line 44151 at $30,743.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Welfare Administration.
I'd like to move that line, which is 44411, for $16,160.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Payments, welfare.
I move line 44451 for $1.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah, baby.
I have to ask, is
You're the
there
one
any
that wants to extend the
discussion?
meeting.
He's not spending. Can we do all the $1 ones all at one time?
No, we can't, because I'll lose track of which ones we've done, so.
Well, if it's $1, you'd know what was done.
Yeah.
He has a point. Anyway,
We'll discuss that later. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
I'd like to move line 44452 welfare vendor payments for $9,500.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to move Parks and Recreation line 45201 for $73,447.
second.
We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Libraries.
We didn't approve it, we just talked about it?
We just talked about it.
Okay, so I'd like to move the library line 45501 for $235,088.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the library. Any, the total is on page 23. Any discussion or questions? Hal?
Well, it's a question as to, I agree with spending the money for the furnace and the AC. I'm just wondering, would that normally be in like the facilities, or we keep that stuff in this?
The library, seems to try to keep the bulk of that. That's why when Donna was here earlier, she indicated she wasn't sure which way it was
Can I
going to
explain something?
Please.
The interior stuff, if it's inside, it's in the library budget. If it's like the roof, like
Okay.
outside the building, well, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's like the roof or the exterior or the walkways, that's facilities committee. But inside, like air conditioning and heating, that's inside.
Okay, that's,
Is that good?
yeah, it's great. I understand that.
Any other questions or discussion on the library? Okay? I'm sorry, did someone, did you have something, Grace?
No, I was ready to move to the next line, but we have to
Oh,
vote.
I'm going to vote first, yeah. I appreciate the sentiment, but,
I did the
you know,
same thing a little earlier.
Yes, but
Come on,
he's close
come on.
enough to hit. All those in favor of $235,088 for the library, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'd like to move line 45831, patriotic purposes, for $1,800.
Second.
We have a motion and second for $1,800. Any discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
I'd like to move line 45890, wage grant programs, for $10,246.
Just to ask, PD is,
We don't have a second yet.
Second.
no, what's the meaning?
we have to get a second first.
Second.
Okay, we seconded it.
Well, this point of information is.
What does it mean?
Would you please answer for me?
Police department, I think.
Oh, you know when they get those like DWI, the state will give them money for DWI patrols and
the Route-
speeding enforcement.
The Route 4 speed grant,
This
yeah.
is the line that would
Got
go
it.
into so we can spend it, but we
Yep.
accept the money from the state.
Money comes in, you put it in here.
Yeah,
got
but
it.
this is so they can spend it out of the budget.
Yep.
So it is police department. Good,
It is
thank
police
you.
department.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving to donations.
I'd like to move line 45899 for $1,001.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hal?
The Beanhole Bash Group doesn't ask us for any help?
No, because the first couple years it got going, we kind of gave it seed money.
No, it's
And now
okay.
they raise enough money from the Beanhole batch.
Itself.
Yeah, so we don't have to give them money anymore.
Okay, good.
In spite of the torrential rain.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I would like to move line 46111, conservation, for $3,703.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for conservation. Any questions or discussion? Betsy?
Explanation on the increase of $1,000 on line 330.
Conservation Commission.
It's in your detail, Betsy.
It's in the back, but it basically says
Right,
we're
okay.
working with Charlie Marino to manage our forests. Right?
Right.
Thank you.
In other words, instead of having them in separate lines, the two were added into one line. Depending on what project comes out, will show where it will be expended.
Any other questions or comments on conservation? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to move line 46510, economic development, for $405.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on economic development. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
I'd like to move the interest on tan line 47231 for $1.
Second.
we have a motion and second.
And I assume this has nothing to do with the health salon or something.
So
So
TAN is a tax anticipation note, so for example, we bill for taxes twice a year. Say we had a cash flow problem, we didn't have enough money in the checking account until the next, so we could ask for a tax anticipation note, and that line's kept open in case we need to get one, but historically, we've never needed one.
And I'm assuming we can't move the bottom line because we haven't done the fire
Correct.
department.
Yeah.
Correct. So we have a motion and a second. I assume there's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so on to our warrant articles, folks. You know, the default budget could be
Not a serious question.
substantial in reviewing, so I'm going to delay that.
Well, there's nothing to really review because it's a default.
It's a default budget, but we're supposed to go into an explanation as
How we came up with it?
not so much how you came up with it, but the new changes that the state law was requiring, and I'm not prepared to do that today. I'd like to get through the main business, and we'll pick that up, for instance, when we do minutes. Okay, so Article number 2, we cannot address yet.
So that's put off till December 12th.
That's put off until December 15th, at least. Article 3 is the safety complex. We don't have a firm figure yet, so that article will be put off until probably January 3rd.
Well, we can do Article 4.
I haven't got there yet.
Oh, sorry.
So is that the latest
Patience.
date?
That might, unless we call for a special meeting.
That's what I'm at, yeah.
That would be the date that we would be using as sort of a cleanup night type thing.
So I'd like to move Article 4, land purchase for the Northwood Safety Complex. And basically, in case Article 3 fails, will the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $223,900 for the purchase of land located at 635 First New Hampshire Turnpike, consisting of 6.9 acres, for future placement of the public safety complex.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Do we have any discussion?
So
You should have a copy of the purchase and sales agreement in your packet.
Which we do.
So I just want to
Yeah.
understand, so Article 3 would include the land?
Yes. So say, for example.
Oh, okay, that's enough.
Yep.
So then the second part of that is, if we fail, if Article 3 doesn't pass, but Article 4 does,
We can buy the land.
we can buy the land.
can't.
Where does the demolition cost for the buildings that are on
Fire
there?
department.
Well,
Let it
Okay, well,
burn.
I mean, that's a good answer.
That's probably what will happen.
Would that be a part of Article 3 also?
yeah. So,
Okay,
so for example, if Article 3 fails, we think this land is definitely the best
You
land in
want-
town.
yeah,
Like,
okay.
even if it fails, this is where we want to build a safety complex, and
Right.
we need to buy it, because if we don't buy it, we're going to lose out on that.
Got it. Okay, but if
The
Article
de-
3,
demo- all the preparation and
Of the land.
excavating and site work is included in Article 3.
Article 3, okay, so this is solely for the
Just for the,
land
all that
itself?
covers is going to be a purchase.
Okay.
Any further discussion or questions? Brad?
Yeah, again, is there a reason, have you considered bonding this also out, Article 4? As it would be if it was an
Well,
Article 3.
okay, I think if you try to bond too much, you confuse people. It's just, I'm talking like general public, you know, I don't mean it like that, probably like it sounded, but If we're going for, if we pass Article 2, everything's gonna be bonded, including the land.
Right, well, that's my point.
So if Article 2 fails,
Only Article 3.
so we go to Article 3, I'm sorry, no, well, we won't go to Article 3 if Article 2 passes.
You're down one. You're
I'm
3 and 4,
I'm
Scott.
sorry, Article 4, I apologize. So Article 4, so if Article 3 passes, the land, everything is gonna be rolled into the bond.
Right.
But if that fails, no, we didn't, we don't
That fails,
intend.
why not,
we
why
don't-
not,
we
why
don't
not bond the
intend-
land in Article 4? I mean,
We made,
50 cents is a huge
I'll
amount.
toss,
Saved from last year.
right, I'll toss my 2 cents worth in here from back 20 years ago when I was a selectman. At that time, we pretty much had guidelines, and they weren't cast in stone by any stretch, but there was a certain monetary amount that you would consider putting into a budget or a warrant article as opposed to bonding. And this was not, back in my day, a sufficient enough amount to go to the expense and the trouble of a bond and a bond hearing and everything that's involved with doing a
Of course,
bond.
interest rates were a lot different back then, too.
Correct.
they were higher.
They were
They were a lot
higher.
higher back then.
They were a
Which is
lot
like-
higher.
Now it's lower,
Correct.
right?
Get your fees though.
Yeah, but I think.
But the
Norman
fees
said
still remain the same.
Just asking.
There
It's just-
there was
I-
$7,000.
It's
in legal
half,
for
it's
bond.
half above the warrant article cost that you've got listed.
Right, but,
Yeah.
but,
We've spent
What
out
do
on
you mean
this,
half?
just
Wait,
this.
what are you talking?
You're
No,
talking
not
49,
necessarily.
49 cents a thousand. And all the warrant articles that we've got listed are somewhere around $1 or something like that, if they all passed.
No.
Oh, well, the selectmen,
Sorry,
the selectmen, okay, the selectmen decided that if the safety complex, I'm just gonna give you what was discussed at the selectmen. If Article 3 failed, the town wanted to go out, the town did not want to go out and bond for $229,000. Because first off, being a selectman, and I'll speak for the board, but this, I wouldn't want to have to deal with, like, you could keep, we're not, this town historically does not bond. Matter of fact, I've been a selectman since 1999, and this is the first time we've even gone for a bond. And I thought the safety complex was a big enough thing to tackle that I didn't want to say, oh, if that fails, because I'll tell you right now, if that fails and we go try to sell this with a bond, I bet you that'll fail too.
Yeah.
So the decision was made by the board to bond the safety complex, but if that fails, we'll say, hey,
If 3 fails, you think 4 will pass?
I do. Because one of the biggest questions I've heard since we've been trying to do this safety complex, the biggest pet peeve, everybody says, where are you gonna build it? Where are you gonna build it? You don't even have land. Well, okay, we have land. We'd like to buy the land. We got a place to put it now, so if this fails, and then if they vote that down, then we're back to square one, but the biggest question we always get is, where are you gonna build this? And we actually found the location to build it. And we actually have signed a purchase and sales agreement, so we have something that if this passes, we can buy. And a copy of the purchase and sales is in your packet.
Hal? Okay. Other questions or comments?
We're talking about 3,
No, we're talking about 4.
4.
Let me just make one comment if you don't mind. Brad, to your point, you know, this will be on the warrant, and if you want to discuss the options, that is certainly something, although Scott may not recommend it, that's certainly something in the deliberative session that could be discussed and changed.
You don't think that would change, not one, because
No,
you're
you
buying something. So if you want to bring it up at deliberative,
It's a matter of
Yeah, so
financing.
it's warned, the topic is warned, so it would be something that could be edited. So you'd have an opportunity for that discussion, but, you know, like Scott said, they're not recommending it, but doesn't mean it can't be discussed or.
Betty?
From what you've said about the cost and heartburn of doing a bond issue, that might come to a tax impact of 49 cents anyway.
what?
And it would be,
Oh, no, okay. What I'm on the safety complex committee that goes to all the meetings along with Bob. What happens is, when you go out for a bond, all these costs are wrapped into that one bond. Like when we do a safety complex, they're gonna give us a number. the number for the building, the number for the land excavation to get the site prepared, the cost for issuing the bond, all that's rolled into that number, so you just go out for one bond issuance. And I'm speaking for myself, but my experience as a selectman, I wouldn't want to deal with a bond issuance for this and then go around and bond something else again next year.
Well, that I understand. What I'm saying is,
As far as
if you
taxes.
tried to put Article 4
Yes.
into a bond issue, it would go over more years apparently, and you still might end up with a tax impact of 49 cents.
My point was only to be considered, and so we don't have any idea what that would cost. That's all I asked is, what would that number be as compared to a 49-cent tax burden?
Well, see, the other thing
Well, if you
too.
spread, well, actually, I can,
I don't know, you spend a
Well,
lot of 5 years, 10 years, 30 years.
So let me just, so how the thing, how we come up with these estimates, basically it's the equalized value of the town, all the town's property. So we know, oh yeah, that's the other thing, you need 3/5, you need 60% to pass a bond. Yeah, this would only require 51%. And the other thing is, I was touching upon is, this is 49 cents because that's almost half of the town's equalized value for all the property. So for every 400 and something thousand dollars you spend, it's about $1 on the tax rate. And where I'm getting is, if you were to spread this out for, say, to your point, if you were to spread this out over 5 years, and this is not taking in the interest, just like, say it was just no interest, it'd probably be 5 years at no interest, which won't happen, but it'd be like 10 cents a year if you spread it out over 5 years. So, to your point.
Well, the thing is, you know, we're putting things on hold. The fire department hasn't come in with a proposal yet. But, you know, you're in the neighborhood of 250,000 or more that they're going to propose. You're not going to bond that either. Now you're talking
Well, no,
$500,000.
They're looking at a lease purchase, which would spread the cost of that over several years. I mean, I think, I could, I'm not
I think we
gonna
just
talk-
don't know that yet.
We don't know that.
We don't know that yet, and that's why we postponed it. Right.
So maybe we vote on the merits of this and leave the funding.
Exactly. So it is the merits of this. Are there other questions or discussion regarding Article 4? Okay. And we need to do a roll call. It's a warrant article. So, Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes?
Michael is gone.
I can
Ted?
vote for him.
Eric?
Yes.
Can't vote for him. I'm sorry. You don't look like him. Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott? Yes. And yes. So. Okay, moving on to Article...
7?
5.
5.
Oh, is that?
No,
does
that's
that-
just
that-
language.
Oh, that's like-
5 is language, 6 is language, 7, fire apparatus lease purchase, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $56,912 for the 5th of 5 yearly payments for the lease purchase of the new pumper truck, and to fund the payment by withdrawing the sum from the Fire Rescue Vehicle Replacement Special Revenue Fund. This lease was approved in 2015 and does not contain an escape clause. No tax impact. Recommended by the board 3-0. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes?
Who's gone? Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, next one, we need to wait until our January
Till we
meeting.
get the numbers.
Till we get the numbers, because those go up into the end of the year. For those people who are new to the budget committee, those are expendable trust funds where the money we get from recycling goes into a special fund. The money from cable fees goes into a special fund, and what have you, and until the end of the year, we don't know what that total number is gonna be.
Basically moving money, we have money in revenue and just moving it out of revenue into the fund. It's not really any tax impact.
Okay, so Article 9, vested benefit expendable trust fund deposit, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be added to the benefit vested time expendable trust fund previously established. Recommended by the selectmen, 3-0. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Any discussion? Hal? So cute.
Do we have some sense, I mean, we're obviously putting this in to try to keep up and maybe catch up. How far do we have to go before we're caught up completely and then just putting in what people...
I don't have the balance. Oh, wait, did you give us all the trust fund balances?
Yes,
Oh, sorry, that's yours.
that's mine.
I had the balance, but I'm curious how that balance compares to our total
What's our
liability.
liability for that all told?
I don't know, I don't have this year's number. Last year we were looking at, I believe it was around 68,
So if everybody to walk out the door, it cost us 68 grand.
approximately 68, and I'm not trying
And what's in the balance? I don't remember.
Let's,
29,000, and I have another bill.
29 or 49?
29.
Oh, yeah, 33, I'm sorry.
Oh, 33,000?
33, and I have another bill this quarter for
Yeah.
the trustees to take some more of that. A little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
So we're chipping away at it, but we're not anywhere close to catching up.
Well, no, we put enough, I mean,
we're at least
theoretically, you don't need, the only way you would need the whole amount is if the town shut down. Because this year it could happen because it's been going that way, but if everybody was to walk out the door.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Everybody to walk out the door, yeah, we need 68K, but, I'm joking, hopefully. But you don't have to put the whole 68K in it, because on average, maybe 1 or 2 people retire a year.
It's the same thing as we said on some of the other ones. What are you going to do if everybody does? And yeah, I know it doesn't happen all the time.
Well, this year it could be,
But this is, yeah.
You leaving, Sandy?
Okay, but we're getting there, but...
yeah, but you don't affect it. Other discussion or questions? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
yes?
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes,
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Michael? Mike, sorry.
I was waiting.
I know, well, I hadn't said Michael yet, so I'm getting confused. You guys are both gonna be here at the same time. Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. And yes. Okay.
We don't have the number for
We
the
don't
highway
have the
truck
number
yet.
for 10. Article 11.
I'll move Article 11 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $18,500 to deposit into the previously established highway equipment capital reserve fund.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Betty seconded. No, you have to make an airplane out of it, honey. You want it to go where you want it to. Is there any discussion?
so which equipment does this cover exactly?
It's not the vehicles, it's
Like the backhoe for an end loader?
oh, I'm sorry, I went to police, let's go back to highway.
Highway.
This is the money we set aside, so one day when we purchase a truck or the backhoe, this is hopefully, ideally, we'd wish there was enough money in there to pay for the whole thing, but it's to offset any cost from purchasing new equipment.
So if we had enough money, could Article 10 have been funded by that? Or
A portion of it, or if we had enough money, we could pay the whole thing out of it.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so that could have been an example of one of them.
That's an excellent
But we don't
example.
have enough, so we want to try to put some more in.
Right.
So instead, we're leasing for now. Okay.
Are there other questions or discussions? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott? And yes. Yay. Police Department Capital Reserve Fund, Article 12.
I'll move to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 to be deposited into the previous established police equipment capital reserve fund.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Don't call our names, or you'll get silence.
Let the record show Dan and Grace reading at
3:30.
3:28. You must be precise.
Wait, it's 7.
Stop. Okay, I'm sorry, I got interrupted with departures. Are there any questions or comments on the Police Department Capital Reserve Fund?
Who moved those?
Scott moved it, Betty seconded.
I just have a question
Yes.
on the basis for the number. How did you decide on 6,000?
I believe that's what we put in last year.
Okay.
That was submitted from the police chief.
I mean, they must have some things about they're thinking about buying. I'm just wondering what that would cover.
Well, I'm.
That's right, that's covered for like, that's for equipment, Sandy, that's for equipment other than vehicles, right?
Right.
Non-vehicle stuff.
Non-vehicle equipment. For like, I think last year they had to replace everybody's, was it radios or vests or something?
Well, that's why I asked for the basis, because it
Right.
certainly wouldn't cover,
It's very similar, I think, Hal, to the Highway Department Capital Equipment Fund, the others. You're putting in an amount each year
that
to
part I
build
understand,
up in
but-
case
Wait,
there
this would be a
is.
good idea for the air packs for another department.
Right,
well,
exactly.
that's what I mean, you must have some ideas as to what's going to be expended. Because, I mean, like on the highway
Equipment wears
department.
out.
Yes, but which equipment? That's why I was asking. So it's the officer's equipment is really what
Correct.
it comes
Yes.
down to. Whereas in the case of the highway, it's the vehicles
It is
and
the
things like
vehicles,
that.
correct.
This doesn't include vehicles down
It does
here.
not. This is strictly officers' equipment.
Got it.
Are there other questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none. Take my little line before I get messed up. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Yes.
Scott? And yes. So
13-0.
Thank you. I can't do the math anymore. Okay, and
We did 13.
Article 13, Police Department creation of a school resource officer. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $16,994.09, which represents 20% of the total salary and benefits, for the creation of a school resource officer position. This warrant article is contingent on the passage of a warrant article at the school district that would raise and appropriate the remaining 80%. Not recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 0 to 3. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Joe and Betty. Discussion. Betty?
Why is it not recommended by the Board of Selectmen?
Okay, the selectmen agreed to put the warrant article in at the request of the school board. We had a meeting with the school board. What was it, back in June?
It was July.
June, that we said, as a courtesy and mutual respect for each other's boards, that we would put the warrant article in, but the selectmen don't really think it's necessary, so we decided to vote no.
I understand how this position would be different from the school resource officer at Co-Brown.
It's not Cole Brown.
This is in addition to
Yes.
That's correct.
the officer who's, this is for the elementary, middle school.
Correct.
Correct.
So there would be a resource at each school.
And these are salary and benefits. It does not include any other expenses that might be required to have that person at that school. In other words, Co-Brown, for example, there's a cruiser parked up here that does.
Cole Brown pays for, Cole Brown
That's why I
pays
asked
for
the
the whole
question.
office.
Co-Brown has a cruiser parked up there.
Yeah, they pay for all that.
They pay for that.
Yeah.
Are we going to have a cruiser at the elementary school?
I-
So who's going to pay for it?
I guess I can't say for sure. I believe so, that there would be a police cruiser there, and this is the figure that Chief Goulet gave the school board to work with.
Can I just clarify something?
Yeah.
This is basically the portion of the summer when the person would be working for the town and not the school.
Correct.
This is the 20%.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
A year-round employee, but at the school, during school time, off school time would be this part for the town.
So during spring break,
They'd be
Well,
working.
no, it's more,
their
it's really
duties to
summer.
be,
It's break too.
Yeah.
You're right.
rather than hire somebody part-time, they would do their, do a shift or whatever.
That's why the 20% on the town side.
Joe, and then Brad.
Well, I have a tendency to oppose this idea, and for several reasons, but setting aside costs for a moment, I'm not sure that this provides a real... I knew the idea of the perception or the concept here is maybe there's some safety benefit. I don't think that is necessarily realized by having an officer. That's one. It's a larger argument, which we're not here to get into, I guess. But the other part of it is that, just this mentioned, if there's a summer school at the school, the resource officer should be there. If safety is your argument, the resource officer should be there also during the summer. So there will be no town portion that we would be or should be responsible for. If that's part of this 20% argument. But then in the aggregate, the actual money, the real cost, we're seeing here a tax impact of estimated 0.03%.
So 3 cents.
No, 3 cents per thousand. Is that accurate? I guess it is. Right?
Well,
Okay.
Based
is
on...
that based, was that based, Cindy, was that based on a full year, or was that the numbers that were
The numbers are based on a full year.
full year?
Okay. I'll just accept that as it is, but the real cost to the town is actually going to be, in total, is obviously we're going to have to pay for the school portion. It's just that it's being divided up. So the tax impact will be larger. And then, as already has been suggested, we have cruiser expenses, which will, I'm sure...
The cruiser expense is not in there right now.
No, I'm saying, but that would be added to this total figure. And so I'm going to guess some other expenses that will show up aside from health benefits and all that. So
The health benefits are factored in there.
that's factored in
All
that salary?
benefits are included.
Okay.
The actual physical person,
Yep.
with the related expenditures to that person are included.
So in that
Yeah,
16,994.
that's just the town's portion.
But the health benefits are in that?
Yes.
Okay,
Because
okay.
that is an actual cost that we know will.
Okay, all right, so we multiply that by another, 4 times. So, 4 times, yeah, what do we got? So we're looking at,
Well, when we get our school binders before we leave today,
so we're looking, okay.
No,
We're looking
that's
at close
not
to
in it yet.
70,000.
Mr. McCaffrey,
Yes.
the total number, if you add the two combined, I believe is 83,000.
83.
It has, I'll also say that the warrant has not been voted on by the school board yet.
Yeah.
We just had a public forum on Thursday, and we have a school board meeting this upcoming Thursday where I
Okay.
anticipate we'll make a vote.
That's good to me. I mean, it's good to know, thank you. I would say, actually, the number, then the total was larger than I thought it was. But that said, there's the money side, and I don't want to make an argument just for the money side if there was a real value that I perceived here, and I do not think there is. So I can't see this as being useful.
Brad was next.
A couple of procedural questions. One, if both articles were to pass the school board and ours, I would assume this is an ongoing expense, so the 16,000 would
That's
be a
just
warrant
one
article
year.
every year?
It would be, well,
Or
it'd
part of
be
the
more
budget?
than 16,000, because you gotta assume they're gonna get a step every year.
But at that point, it'd be-
Right, so does it become
It's not
part of the
much of
budget? So it's an
Right.
increase to the budget
Yeah,
overall,
yes.
going forward. And my other question was, if ours passes and the school board does not pass, what happens to this
Doesn't
warrant
pass.
article?
Doesn't pass.
Doesn't pass.
But
Because
the money's
it's-
still
Well,
been
the school,
approved, so
No.
you're still in the tax rate.
The school could probably figure out where they, I mean, if the school really wanted it, they could pay for it.
It's
I
contingent.
guess
No, that wasn't my question. It
I
was-
guess my understanding
We're gonna
was,
put a warrant article out there that says we're gonna raise $16,000, we vote to approve it. So that becomes part of the tax burden.
No.
No,
it's contingent on both of them passing.
Okay.
yeah. If the town's passes, the school's warrant article
So
does
it's
not
gonna
pass,
roll into the tax rate.
then there's no money that's gonna be raised. Okay.
I
Betsy?
get two things. One, nothing was ever said about being there during summer school. It was during the school year, number one. Number two, I would suggest waiting on this one until we see what they do at their meeting on Thursday.
Is the school's doing it as a warrant article, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Well, can I clarify?
Yes.
We have a drafted warrant article. We haven't voted on it yet.
right, which is going to be voted on Thursday night. All right, let's hold off on,
Can I just, a little,
Yes,
before
Joe.
we get totally off this, but the, actually something was said, I mean, the reference that was said about summer school,
On
that,
summer school, it was never said that anything I ever attended.
no, there was a reference made to summer school as
work.
not being required to
Joe,
use this
my
option.
understanding is that we've taught, the school district talked to the state, and, I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
It's my understanding, since the school's not in session year-round, even if you go to summer school, that's not for the whole summer, it's like 6 weeks. My understanding is that the school can't legally fund 100% because there's a portion of that salary where he's gonna be working, he can't work at the school because the school's not open. And it was.
Well, that'll be
It was my understanding that, obviously, you can't lay the guy off every year for 2 months.
I got you, but it would be on either side of that segment of summer school, these blocks. I follow that, but I was just saying that if you wanted a safety officer, it seems to me you ought to be there whenever the school is in session, if that's your presentation on it. But as far as our not, there's a reference here to not costing, if the school were to elect to have this officer on their own dime, obviously that is going to affect our taxes
Well, yeah,
nonetheless.
actually, Joe, make it easy. If this passes, we will be paying for a whole nother police officer,
Right,
yes.
right.
Yes.
Hal, and then Betsy,
I'm
and then
just
me.
wondering, is the chief on board with having
Yes.
this person rotate in and out?
Yes.
Okay, so with the chief saying that, then I think the presumption would be that $17,000 that they're asking us to pick up on would be utilized, and therefore maybe we'd save $17,000 on another part of the budget?
I wouldn't think so.
No, I don't.
This will not be able to be utilized at all if the school's warrant article does
I
not
understand that.
pass.
Assume that everything passes.
Okay,
Okay, so now we got the guy here,
yep,
or no,
Or
excuse me, the
her.
person.
thank you,
We got the person here.
yep,
When school's not in session, that person is going to work for the police department.
correct.
It could be conceivable that some of the part-time
Right,
lines
that's
would
what it's
disappear.
getting at.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so I guess to Joe's point about the cost, just for that, from my perspective, I'm viewing this as it's not costing us anything because the chief will figure out how to use this guy's $17,000 worth in budget reductions on his side. So that's just my perspective. Might not be true, but that's what I'm sort of
It's going
assuming.
to cost us.
Okay.
Can I
Betsy?
comment a little more?
Oh, all right. Then Betsy.
There are a few other, as you mentioned, part-time expenses for the part-time police officers, a few other small expenses. This person would also cover the truancy duties, as well as the crossing guard duties. I mean, it adds up to like $5,000 or something, but it's another small savings that would come.
But this employee has to be part of the town under the police department
that's what I'm saying.
retirement
Yeah,
and can't be an employee of the school.
yeah. But I guess I just want to make sure I understand the general premise that because the officer is not used full-time by the school, what portion is not would be used by the police department, and the police department, I think the chief would have a good chance at saying, hey, I got this extra person, I can reduce some costs elsewhere. And so in my mind, because the chief can be flexible in terms of how he uses people, part-time people and stuff, this cost would somehow
Be offset in the other
offset in the
lines.
budget line.
He stated he'd use them for vacation coverage and stuff like that.
Something like that. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing something on that.
I'd like to make a point too, something that somebody said earlier about the police cruiser having to be there and the associated costs with that. There is usually at least one cruiser that's at the station that isn't being utilized for road duties and whatever. That cruiser would be sitting out front, as it does every morning now, when there's school with the lights flashing, because there is no crossing guard, so that people slow down. I run into this problem on the rare days, lots lately, that I still go into work. And other than that, the cruiser will be in the parking lot. It's not going to be driving around. You don't have a gas expense. The cost of the cruiser, whether it's parked all day at the elementary school or parked at the police station, is going to remain the same, except for the cost of the gas to get from the PD to the school and back again.
Be shorter with a new complex.
So, that's true. With a new complex, it would be a shorter distance. Good point.
Not gonna need an additional cruiser to.
No, there's always at least one cruiser that's left at...
They could probably walk to the school from the new complex.
Well, this is true. We could make them get their exercise rather than using the train one. Okay.
And then we'd save on health insurance because it'd be
Oh,
healthy.
Okay, come on, let's move on.
Okay, so...
Bicycle.
I'm sorry, Tom?
One other question is, I multiplied this out and I get $85,000 as the total for town share plus school share equals about $85,000. And the question I would have is this salary and benefits package comparable to what is now being offered to other officers?
Yes.
Or is this somehow
It's the same.
Yeah.
It is comparable?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe.
From what Glenn told me, yes.
It could be, it might not be, but it might be one of the existing offices on the staff now.
It looks pretty comparable to what you have in your numbers.
Are there other questions or discussions on Article 13?
Are we
Okay.
going to wait on that one until the school votes on it, or what are we going to do?
I don't need to know what the school's doing. I can go.
It is contingent.
It's
so-
contingent, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Okay, so that being said, let's take a vote. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
yes?
Eddie? Yes.
Betty? I have to do my scratch marks.
Well, I
now.
detect something in your voice there, baby.
Joe?
No.
Hal?
Yes?
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
I cut myself short there. Do you notice that? Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
No.
And yes, so
I did not get Betty's vote.
Betty was...
said yes.
Yes.
Yeah, in fact, I said Betty.
Did
Do
you
you
capture
only
the
three,
tone
right?
of voice, though?
Yeah. No, 10-2.
10-3.
10-3. 10-3, sorry. Okay. The lagoon maintenance, we gotta wait for a figure. Facilities Committee expendable trust deposit, Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,750 to be deposited into the Facilities Committee expendable trust fund previously established for the maintenance, improvement, repairs, and replacement of general government buildings. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. I await your pleasure. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Betty and Joe, I think. Okay, so
Yes.
we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I'd
Scott
like to,
has some information.
well, it's my understanding that we got,
Got a few notes on it.
No, as you know, our former town administrator decided to move on. And we did get a quote, and this is not included, but I just read this into the record. Town hall roof repair, leaking inside when there's heavy rains at area where two roofs meet. And I guess there was also something about the center school, but we decided not to do anything with that because it needs a repair to the foundation. With that being said, the number that we currently put forward, because this was found, I won't say found, we came across this after we put the number in, and we feel that the town might want to relook at that number, and the selectmen might possibly want to increase that number based on the possibility that we need to do something with the roof at town hall.
Are you suggesting an increase in this expendable trust fund amount?
Yes, but
Okay.
we don't.
We have not voted on that yet, correct?
Yeah, but the selectmen, I can't change that number without going to the
Correct.
selectmen.
So my point is,
Tabled.
you've not voted on that potential addition. Therefore, we will
then we'll
skip this article until we find out what you're planning on doing. But we appreciate
You
the
letting
heads
us
up.
know.
They need to retract
Yeah,
this.
so Betty and Joe, if you can retract your
will.
second
So retracted.
and your second.
Yes.
Okay.
So
So
you're
we're
saying you're gonna come back.
We're gonna
maybe
come-
with a different number.
potentially.
We're not,
knowing
we-
that you already have 40, almost $47,000 in that fund already.
I'm sure they're gonna come back to us to let us know, A, if they're
we're
adding that, and B, what
gonna
they're
talk
gonna
to
do.
the chair of the facilities committee and see if we missed something. And we want to talk to that. What we're saying is, we want to make sure that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's, and we think that we should reach out to the chairman of the committee to see if we might have made a mistake putting that number together.
Is the amount in the fund right now, what, 40, is that 47?
Well,
There's projects that we're working on currently we want to come up with a number that's like what before we say this number, we want to say, well, maybe we need to increase that. Right now, we're not sure. We think right now,
I follow you might want to increase this, but that, I'm assuming that's because there's an inadequate amount in the fund.
No, do not assume that,
do not.
Well, what is the reason to
because there
increase it?
could be ongoing projects that he was
Well,
saying.
because
the money is
for
still
example,
coming
let me
out.
give you an example. Like, we already know the library, this thing for the library walkway, I'm sorry, I apologize,
Yeah,
that's included in the 17.7. You remember the library talked about fixing the walkway? That's included in this number. What's
let's
not
fix it.
included in this number is if we need to do something in the roof here, that the selectmen need to vet that a little bit more, because we did not get, let's just say we didn't get the best, we had some questions and required more documentation from the chairman of this committee.
okay, I'm good with that. I'm just wondering, isn't there money in that fund now that can be used for something, aside from the 17, or is this the first time this is getting
I'll
17,000?
defer to,
Actually, I'm going to interrupt and
There's no
we'll rank
motion
here.
on the table.
Because they're going to be going
All
back
right.
and checking,
fine.
let's defer any further discussion about it. We can't take action on it today anyway. It's 10 minutes to 4. We
Okay,
agreed to
good.
4 o'clock. Let's see if we can get through the rest of the articles. Okay? So that being said, Article 16, Northwood's 250th Anniversary Expendable Trust, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 to be deposited into the 250th Anniversary Expendable Trust Fund to support efforts to recognize the town's 250th anniversary. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0.
Motion.
Move the question.
Okay. So take your pick, Linda. They both moved it and the other one can be a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion or questions?
I just want to note and thank whoever put this summary of the monies already in these various trust funds, that would bring the $4,500 plus up to $6,500 plus. So as I hear this article being presented as well as other articles being presented, I'm trying to say, well, does that look like it's going to be enough by the time we get to the year, whatever it is, 2023?
We don't
I
get
guess,
to
something
change
like
that
that.
number.
And the same thing goes with Al's comment about the retirement funds. And the other question I have is, does anybody have a cap on enough is enough? And we've talked about that occasionally, but I don't know that we've ever had enough is enough discussion about these funds. In this case, I'm happy to support another $2,000 towards that
You want a
effort
pocket.
if I live that long.
I'll
Regardless if I live.
On a warrant article, I think you have to
Yes,
I think you just have to accept the number and vote in favor. and-
Correct, we
and then
can't
edit
change
it
the
at
number on a warrant article.
at the
That has to be
deliberative
done at deliberative if it's going to be done.
But you can speak, I'll recognize you to speak at the,
He's speaking to them.
He wants to add more to it. Okay, is there other discussion or questions on Article 16? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
yes?
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. So that is unanimous.
13-0.
13.
fireworks display? We're just gonna make sure.
I don't know, I thought you guys were gonna check into that and then find out where we can have it. Okay, moving on to Article 17. Highway Department backhoe lease purchase, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $20,297.79 for the second of 5 yearly payments for the lease purchase of the new backhoe. This lease agreement was approved in 2018 and does contain an escape clause. Board of Selectmen recommend 3-0. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No? Seeing none? Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes,
Michael? Oh, excuse me. I know, I'm
Ted.
just reading it. Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Okay. Article 18. This is the road construction resurfacing, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be used for the construction, reconstruction, and/or resurfacing of town roads and the refurbishing of ditches and culverts as recommended by the Highway Advisory Committee. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 3-0. You have a
So
motion?
moved.
second,
Betty and Hal. Any discussion? Tom?
In the regular budget, you outline 3 very specific projects that you want to work on. If I were to stand up at the deliberative session and ask you, what are you going to use this money for, do you have an answer?
I'm gonna say those 3 roads, that's to supplement the money that's in the budget for those 3 roads. Tasca.
But doesn't the money in the budget already cover those 3
No,
roads?
remember talked about that?
No, not complete.
not completely.
Okay. Got anything else on the list that would sweeten the pot for somebody else who lives on a lousy road?
Unfortunately,
It's a state road.
you'd be amazed how much it costs a foot to pave a road.
I wouldn't be
No.
amazed at all. I'm just wondering, you know.
I guess I'll answer the question, but I don't know, did you want
You
it?
can get back to me.
I'll get back to you.
Get back to me.
Come on.
All right. Do we have any other questions or comments on Article 18? Okay, seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes?
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes,
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Article 19, Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Expendable Trust Fund. to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $7,000 to be deposited into the previously established Aquatic Invasive Species Prevention Expendable Trust Fund. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions? Tom?
This is a topic near and dear to my heart, living on Janice Pond, which needs to keep milfoil out of it, as well as the other 10 aquatic invasives. And I'm wondering how the figure was arrived at.
Basically, on the prevention one, it was actually, I believe, I don't believe, the people that have prevention programs on the various lakes came up with that. They have an estimated budget for what it costs them to pay a host to make sure there's nothing on the boats when they come, enter, and leave the facilities in the lake. And you do get some state match, but you're basically asking for the town to help you out with the portion the state doesn't cover.
Well, no, actually, on that, Scott, we get some money from the town,
some from the state,
a little
from the
bit,
state.
and then the rest is private money.
Oh.
But I guess, Tom, to answer your question directly, that total is for 2 lakes, Janice Pond and Pleasant Lake. Those are the 2 towns that came in and requested money of the select.
Two towns. You said 2 towns. 2 lakes.
2 lake associations. And we do have, if somebody else were to ask, we do still have some money in that fund. So if somebody else, like Harvey Lake or somebody, wants to start up something even this year, we would have sufficient funds to help another town get started.
You mean another lake?
Jeez.
I just thought it
I really don't want to pay for other towns.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, actually, all Pleasant Lakes in Deerfield.
Deerfield.
Pretty much a bunch of shoreline.
Well, the other question that raises, and I appreciate the slip, and that is Stratford has a lake host program on Bow Lake at their boat launch in Stratford. And I have advocated for the last 3 years, as we were improving the boat ramp at Mary Waldron, to think about seeing if we can get a lake host program at the Mary Waldron beach, and haven't had much of any success in inspiring those Northwood residents nor the Stratford residents to consider doing that. But if I did have success in setting something like that in motion, would we as a town, do you know, be able to contribute monies to a lake host program that was in an adjoining town? In other words, is the Pleasant Lake...
I'm sorry.
If they were the lake host program on Mary Waldron Beach, but the host organization was the Bow Lake Association.
I would think the host, if I may, the host, Pleasant Lake Lake Association actually came into and made the request directly with the Board of Selectmen, saying that, for example, with Pleasant Lake, I'm sorry.
That's your ding dong, you're done.
So Pleasant Lake had a host program, and they says, Northwood, you have a bunch of property on our shoreline, and even though none of the lakes in our town, we feel that because you have residents, plus the boat launch, the boat launch is on the fishing game boat launch is on the Northwood side. So they made an argument, and the selectmen says, yeah, I think you got a reasonable. So if say hypothetically, if Bow Lake came and said, we'd like you to commit a portion of the money to ours, but they haven't come in and asked us.
Okay, thank you.
That answer's probably not.
Any further discussion on Article 19? Okay.
Aye.
I'm sorry?
Aye. You're gonna ask for a vote, right?
Wait your turn.
You have to wait.
Oh, past 4 o'clock.
Yeah, we've got one more left to do.
That's
Would
8.
have been done already.
That's 8.
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Aye.
Hal?
Yes?
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott? And yes.
Yeah.
You know, you used to be cute when you used to do that, but you're not getting cute.
Stop reading the next one real quick.
Okay, Article 20, Aquatic Invasive Species Treatment and Control Expendable Trust Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,000 to be deposited into the previously established Aquatic Invasive Species Treatment and Control Expendable Trust Fund. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen, 3-0.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or discussion? Tom?
Present, this all goes towards Bow Lake's milfoil mitigation efforts.
Northwood.
Oh, this is Northwood.
Sorry.
Northwood Town.
It's,
Any other questions or discussions?
it's not for us only, we're drawing from it, but if another lake had milfoil, they'd be able to draw from it too, right?
Correct.
Yes. Let's just hope.
Yes.
What did the other towns put in, do you know?
Did we have, I'm trying to remember, did we convince Epsom to give us a little money?
Epsom gives money, and so does Deerfield.
Right. Because
Oh, that's
it's
where they get the idea,
which
that's where they got the idea to hit us up for
Exactly, there's some reciprocity
Yeah, I knew that.
going on there.
Yeah.
okay. Other questions or comments?
Call the question.
Okay. Seeing none. Betsy?
Yes.
Brian? Yes. Tom?
Yes.
Betty?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Hal?
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes. Now, before everybody starts packing up and you can't hear me, we've gone through the warrant articles that we can get through. I'm just going back through the budget real quick. I believe the only thing we did not take action on today was the fire department, but I want to clarify that. Bear with me a second.
And the minutes.
In the minutes. So we can't just deal anything with the fire department on Monday night, which would be our next scheduled meeting. And the minutes, personally, I'm not in favor of coming back on Monday night just to review minutes. But I wanted to verify this. The selectmen, your meeting when you're going to be voting on
The 11th.
is the 11th. Okay. So it appears to me, and please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, that other than the minutes, we really don't have anything we can work on for the town until the 12th.
Oh, so we don't need to meet Monday?
That's where I'm going, but I'm waiting for you guys.
I'll make a motion to.
Whoa,
I'll-
No, we haven't canceled because we never said we would yet.
Come on.
Just trying to move it
Come on.
along.
Come on.
Does everyone agree that that pretty much seems to be the case?
Yep.
All right. Then our next meeting would be next Saturday. However, I've got things that I have to hand out to you, so don't be running out the door. You're not going to have your materials for Saturday.
Just a
Can we
clarification.
take 5 minutes to approve these?
No, because there's a lot of changes on those unless you have a new set.
No, I don't, but I can
Linda?
look at them again. Can we recess to that other date so we don't have to do a notice?
So we don't have to do another posting.
I make a motion that we recess
The town's work session,
until
December 12th.
December 12th.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. A question about the motion or a
No,
question about,
move
okay.
on.
Any questions about the motion?
7 p.m.?
7 p.m. All in favor of the motion to recess the town's work session to December 12th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?